Let's go through some of the super chats here. Oh, I liked it. Okay, here we go. Kaido. It's a Kaido chat. Cody Bishop says, listening to Toy Soldiers.
Andy says juice.
Mighty Ryan says, Todd and Boy, bring back on the, I never played on the end before. Sergeant Heroes, I was class with that. You get good enough that you can actually tell the difference between Jade and the fog, be able to shoot people away in the distance, pissing off all night. We're not going to get battle tanks on the other hand, so play that one lined out.
Sunday. Just time to suit up and have to.
Mighty Right says COD is boring. Bring back Armament. Armament on the. I never played that on the Armament before. Class is that. You can get good enough that you can actually tell the difference in shade in the fog and be able to shoot people way in the distance, pissing off all my friends. What do you guys do to get battle tanks on the NSO? Play that online. That was awesome. I mean, now that's the world of tanks at this point. Something about that time though. Let's see. Zoop says Weezer's going to Ubisoft Japan's YouTube to downvote the trailer and use Google Translate to upvote comments and hate it. Pathetic. Tim Allen says Earth Defense Force 6, July 2024. Game of the year. I fell out of the Earth Defense Force stuff a long time ago. And pretty sure Solid Day 1, 15. You could get emulation. Darkside says, finally an RX85 tax. He lasted, he was here longer than I thought he would be. And that's the fair of that dog. The Darkside says, Nintendo going into a new generation next year, would you like to see a revamped NSO similar to Game Pass and PlayStation Plus with games added monthly and more? You get outside of the retro stuff now? I mean, they still have maybe games to get to. I would love to see them do more like old school systems, you know? Whatever they can get at it, but I don't think they'll ever add like, their big first party games. Maybe some of the older first party games. I gotta get Dreamcast, right? I mean, they do DLC, they do like the Mario Kart DLC or stuff like that, so that'd be pretty cool if they continue to do that. But yeah, I felt like Dreamcast other systems. Section says, is that picture just now? It is. It's a skit that he does. That threw me off. Those skits are actually pretty funny, though. Live is live. Oh, nice. Oh, live stream. Wow. Tim Allen says, will somebody make a PS Vita 2 or something? There, yes. Well, there's a new rumor going around that they're working on a handheld, but it's saying it's going to play PS4 games. Because it's technically a PS4 game, so I guess it's maybe a Mac game, like that kind of it. Yes, I would like a handheld. Yes, Ryan would probably also like that. There you go. And those are probably handheld. We all like handheld. That's really good. Yeah, I'm not on the phone. especially release when it becomes multiplayer. Yeah, I think Ryan's on something with that. Because yeah, like you go to PS5, all of a sudden, hey, there's limited run. Like they did with they're doing that with
What do you think about people pretty good copies back in and order?
yeah, review. Next day, let's play that. Hopefully the PS6 is backwards set.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail.
Yeah, I heard you guys messed up Fire Emblem. I knew it.
It was the there were some factors coming up, and I think it was like the new Fire Emblem game.
Fire Emblem 4, you know, the whole new. That's the reason.
There we go. Okay, yeah. The pretty juice says which of the two new PlayStation studios handle the layoffs? I guess it depends on where the layoffs are. Yeah, probably. I don't know. Sterling Gamer says Xbox is a sustainable strategy of buying up and mismanaging developers, then laying them off is terrible for games. Is there a fail? I'll look at it. Silver Strike says, ending this podcast going to too many games. I will be there. Ryan will be there. Evan may be there.
We're working
I don't know
on
if the room situation all dealt with, or for other kind of OJ, it was like this shout out. For too many games with
yeah.
health and stuff.
Yeah, if I swing down, or rather, I guess we have enough rooms and everything.
Yeah, room.
Alright.
Yeah, room. I didn't know if you were just gonna go for a day and then
Like, I might go for a couple days, I don't know.
okay, cool. So now, does anyone know that DC still gets new games? DC? Dreamcast. Oh, the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yep. They still release like different games. You can get a lot of times where just put certain games like Homebrew is still online, you just download them and play them on the Dreamcast. And there's also the news that Redfall is we'll actually get your Final Pass, so we'll include the offline mode. Yeah, that's good to see. It sounded like they were working on Redfall up until legitimately 0 and shut down, and they were unaware. But I guess they went through that, so the patch is almost done, so might as well get it out there. So I think they're going to run up to the end of May and have that patch out. So there you go. Redfall.
I can finally play the game now.
Well, a lot of people I know play the game. Yeah, I want to they were
Listen, I bought it for $5, okay? I installed it, booted it up, and it was like naked account here, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I just
that wall, man, that happens to a lot of people.
I said, no, I'm good.
They can sign up somewhere else.
And I'm not kidding you, I just went to my playlist of all of you guys' videos and started watching videos. And just slide down post and watching videos.
We didn't play through that game, and I told you the percentages of those achievements got to like a 0.25% towards the end. So I don't know what it is. No one really beat that game. He says I have a PS3, PS4, PS5, and I still use my PS3 whenever I want to play old PS1 digital and physical games. Oh, okay. So RE, DC Silent Hill, and that's kinky behavior right there. PS3 is still legit PS1. He's very good for that. Dennis in the Light says, Square thought it was still 1997. T-Joe says, I just really hope that none of those canceled Square Enix games are Star Ocean Blue Spear R or Bahamut will do ACQ well. Might have been. I don't know if No, I don't think so. If Bahamut will do was even pitched and they're like looking around for cuts, I gotta tell you that's probably one of the games getting cut. I don't know. That's it doesn't have a final or a fantasy word the title, so kind of an issue. Nick says 5-1. Wow, don't think Xbox can do that much longer. There's a lot of questions around the hardware right now, but maybe Call of Duty Warfighter. Or Indiana Jones. Jorge says it's funny how people compare Nintendo and Sony's exclusive games as if they had the same development budget and marketing. Well, yeah, we know Sony. I don't know, over 300 million, 32. I'd be curious to see how much Zelda costs. That's the one Nintendo game I look at. I'm like, I wonder how
Somebody did a really good breakdown. A channel called Nintendo Forecast did a really good breakdown of
because they still use a lot of assets in that for roll. And like, that's not cheap for Nintendo to do that. So. Kevin says for physical wipes off a stream of revenue and still makes money. I don't know the numbers for making it put, etc. Sample film last year did 2 billion as well. Well, it was 10. So Ryan pointed this out subtly, but for certain systems, to say probably especially Xbox, there's like a minimum order you have to put in for discs that you buy to then press. And if you look at that and go, we're not going to sell that many, so we feel like we're throwing money away, then there's not going to do it. So the numbers are run behind the scenes by very smart people and they come out the other side with it's not worth it. So
Higher margins on digital too.
oh yeah, definitely. And we're at a weekend. It goes live when it goes live.
This is also true.
Crispy W with a super sticker. Shout out to Crispy W. Oh, Darkland says, have you ever camped out overnight for a new console release? Will you ever do it again? Camped out? I don't know if that counts. I knew we got a 10. But I was definitely outside for the Wii release. I remember that. I went overnight, really fun with friends.
It's so funny you say Wii. I did Wii as well, but Wii, I just like got there at like I think 6 in the morning and got a pre-order. So not even like waiting to buy it that day, like just got a pre-order.
I think the line at our Walmart started like 8 o'clock the night before, because it was midnight release. So we ended up, 2 of my friends were there the entire night, and like they saved the spot, basically. So like there was somebody there with them who was kind of like in and out, like hanging out and stuff, but they weren't gonna buy it, but like I was. So they just kind of held the spot for me, and I ended up being there for probably like 12 or 13 hours outside with them. But it was outside of Walmart. That was one of the things that's easy. You just walk into the Walmart and you get food or something. Like it's not. It doesn't feel like a war of attrition waiting outside of a Walmart or everything. Really. It was cold though because it was the way, so it was like November.
I never camped out. I just would always go there super early in the morning to get a pre-order, and I'd get my pre-order, and I would just go there. Usually be like a midnight release, so I just get there like hours beforehand, and then just pick up my system.
I'm glad I got the Wii. The Wii was such a crazy ride. I'm glad I got one. So.
It was wild.
But yeah, so I played Zelda the rest of the night, and then I played Wii Sports the next day. So
I got Excite Truck.
Zelda was right there. He said, you know what?
That's nice. Did you get the GameCube Zelda? That's the better one.
I don't know why I was like, I kind of want this Excite Truck. I'm not going to throw it. Well, remember, I had to get the one of the Wii because the GameCube version didn't launch until like a month or 2 later or something. So I was like, I need to use Zelda game. It's on the way I'm getting, which is good because technically people were buying tons of Wii systems. They were selling for triple value. Like the next day, it was crazy.
They were going for like $900, online and so back then.
Ridiculous. Yeah, those things weren't stocked consistently. I think like 3 years into the generation, it was insanity. But yeah, that's the one I can think of. The other ones though, yeah, I would sell close to. I think like even like the Xbox, yeah, eventually you start pre-ordering stuff like the Series.
I got PS4. I just like showed up to one because I ordered one from Amazon, so I already had one coming. But since I still wanted to do videos like right away, I'm like, well, let me just like go to a GameStop at I think it was 6 p.m. So I didn't have to wait that long. Now that's a fantastic offer, Dresser. Because then they did like at 12 a.m. open for them. Well, I did go to Grand Theft Auto 4's midnight launch, and I waited outside for that for like 5 hours.
Oh, the better question is we were talking about the system that games, like the midnight release. Like that was totally outside.
Our GameStop was in a plaza, and then that all the way around the plaza up to the grocery store, and that was like way down over. And that was crazy. Dude, that was a rowdy line. I was number 2, by the way. Oh yeah, the Madden, Madden 04, Madden 05, Madden 06, but Madden 05 in particular, that was the year with NFL 2K, and there was a bunch of 2K
coming for them on the 360 PS3 generation, and so many people came out from the releases for that. Like they would have try to hold little bitty tournaments there and stuff. And, like, they had a little kiosk with that, and played a little exhibition, 2-minute quarter thing, and make it a whole tournament. It was crazy back then. But yeah, it is weird how much those trends have changed now. I feel like people want to go out for Call of Duty there. That was massive. Paid me to go to a bad and watch that. You could have paid me to go to one of those two. I went to one for Ragnarok.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, Ragnarok. We're not mad. Crusty ass mad.
It was like, I mean, no, it was like 30. It was like 30 minutes prior, and I think like maybe it was about 30 people grouped
I
up.
feel like I don't even hear that my GameStop around me is even open for the release anymore. Like sometimes I'll just check and they're not.
Fire Emblem 3 Houses had one right next to me. And it was so funny because I did a lot on that game, so a lot of the people recognized me. That's the only time that I ever got recognized was that time when I went there for it was like 9 p.m. So it was like midnight in the East Coast here in California. So there was a number of people that recognized me from that. So that was cool. That was the last time that I actually went to a midnight release. So that was 2019.
I'm hoping they do one for maybe the PS5 Pro or the new Nintendo system whenever that comes out next year or something like that. I hope they do a midnight release for those. That'd be really cool to get that at midnight. So we'll see. I feel like the new system for Nintendo would be big enough for them to do that. So
Oh, I did go to a midnight release for the Switch. I remember driving I was at work in Los Angeles. I remember driving like 2 hours back just so I can get there at Best Buy. Like around.
I picked it up too because I remember I streamed that night when I got home.
Did you really? Is that
I did an unboxing for it. Yeah.
I didn't see it. I want to watch it.
It's a long. It feels like an eternity. Another life.
It really does, dude.
You know? March 3rd, 2017 or whatever. Yeah. A long time ago. Let's see. This is from TJ. It says, so I guess we're going to see less games developed around a specific platform's gimmicks and features. Exclusive in that sense.
I feel like that doesn't happen often anyway. The first party will always do it. That's about it.
Yeah, that's what I expect. First party to really try to take advantage of that kind of stuff. But third parties are just probably going to try to get it everywhere they can for what things cost now. Let's see. Here we go. TJ says, have you all ever beaten a game on NSO in one sitting without using save states or rewind? I have. I beat Mario World.
I abuse them like they owe me money. I will save state and rewind the crap out of NES games. No shame.
No shame.
I didn't die. Run it back.
Kevin says, obviously digital has the metrics that's mostly making the money right now and that can support that physical and vice versa and keeps the consumer happy. For speaking of the user now, to support.
I think it's referencing the why would they get rid of.
Oh, just having both.
Well,
Yeah,
that part at the end where you say can keep consumer happy, they don't care.
Well, I assume they're just going to go until it doesn't make sense for the ship physically anymore, until the audience decides that that's it. Yeah, so I think we still have another gen in us. I think we still have another one.
It's an economies of scale thing too, I'll say. The less discs you're shipping, it just becomes less and less favorable. It is still a big industry. It's still a billion-dollar industry, but at a certain point, it actually won't be worth it. And it's certainly not to your benefit.
Yeah. Shinru says, hey, Evan, what's the average price for a PC build for gaming and using 3D software like Blender? $2,000 sound about right? Buying for a friend? Thanks.
Depending on where you live, you could probably get something good for $2K.
We should see some new NVIDIA cards come out here in the second half of this year. And whenever that happens, used cards spike heavily online. Like you'll see a lot of the 4,000 cards get put out there. That's usually the time to strike because those cards typically are less than a year old. And we don't really have to worry about mining and stuff anymore like you did back in the day when the prices were crazy high for crypto. So, I honestly, if you can hold out a little longer, I think you might see some deals on the 4,000 cards. Those things are incredibly capable. Like I was playing Ghost of Tsushima near 140 frames with a 3080 Ti. So, like, you'd be fine with a 4,000 series card. Like a 4080, no problem. I think that's everything there. I will check Streamlabs, though, just to make sure I'm good on that. I will go around here. Let me start with OJ. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, I mean, right here on YouTube, Player Essence, I do live streams pretty much daily, cover Nintendo and RPG news. I finally did my top 25 RPGs of all time, well, JRPGs of all time. So that video will be tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I'll have it ready to go. So yeah, long time coming, pretty big video. So if you want to check that out, and of course other RPG content, all that stuff covered on the channel. Appreciate you guys having me on as well.
Oh, here's a good one for going over Ryan here. Aloy's boyfriend says, thoughts on Horizon Lego Adventure?
Yeah, it's strange. I don't think anybody saw that coming. That's
No,
very
like the
weird.
collaboration with Sony first-party title is interesting, though. It's interesting because it sounds kind of, I mean, it sounds unique for Sony, obviously. Not necessarily Lego, because they've done a bunch of Lego games, but I'm curious if Sony is really going all in on Horizon, huh?
Yeah, it's a lot. But you know, it's like they established it in 2017. New IP is risky. You know, how often are you going to be able to establish a new IP that sells 20 million? Like
Sure.
It sold 20 million. Like I know some people are like, oh, I'm tired of it. It sold 20. That's a lot for Sony. Like they'll keep doing it. But I would say, yeah, we're doing a lot of Horizon. I'll say this though too. The Lego thing, at least, it probably happened for Michael Denny. He used to be an SVP at PlayStation. Now he's at TT Games. So I feel like that may be how the ball got rolling on that one. Although I'm still not even sure if it's at TT Games because there's a XStep project at Sumo Digital. I just think maybe it's so.
I was some inside baseball. I like it. Very good. Very good. Where can everyone find you, Ryan?
Over on YouTube at Mystic Ryan, covering World of PlayStation every Friday on LTPS. I'll actually probably talk about this handheld rumor soon, since there actually is a lot of stuff going on there. So we'll probably have a quick discussion about that either tomorrow or Monday.
Yeah, you got to cover that. You absolutely have to.
Yeah.
I think there's more and more is formulating around that. So that's an exciting proposition because if it's playing PS4 level games, they might not have to wait till the next generation to launch it. That could just be something they maybe put out before then. So that'd be kind of cool. Evan, where can all the good people find you?
Find me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, at Kimmerix Project if you're into tabletop and such. Trying to get some more videos out soon. We usually stream them Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, get some paid streams going.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I have everyone linked down below in the description as well. People just need to check them out. Liam asked over on Streamlabs, do you think a Breath of the Wild remaster means we won't get free or even paid upgrades and will instead have to buy every game again if we want 4K? But this also mean potentially no true backwards compatibility?
No, it doesn't mean any of that.
I think we'll have backwards compatibility at this point if we have a cartridge slot that would fit. I have no idea how they're handling this 4K stuff, like any of that.
I don't think it's going to be any like 4K, like real 4K, or so we need to just slow down a little bit with the whole 4K and all that. So let's just slow down with that. But no, it doesn't mean any of that. I mean, like they can handle it just like it can be handled just like Sony handles it at times, right? Sometimes you have where they made you pay, or it was a free upgrade. It has true backwards compatibility. They do remakes of PS4 games. It all just depends. I mean, you can play The Last of Us, right? You can play that backwards compatible, or you can buy the remake of it, right? You can buy the remake of it if you want and pay for it. So I don't think that rule means all of a sudden it goes into one direction or another, you know.
Okay. And I think I got everything here. Now Streamlabs, yep, we are good. Thanks everyone for joining us for the Spawncast. We'll be back next Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We should have many of the others joining us again, returning Josie, MVG, and those. So it should be a lot of fun. We'll catch you guys then. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spawncast, episode 367. Have a lighter crew tonight. We'll have some guests, I believe, popping in as we go along here. A lot of stuff actually happening tonight with people. So we ended up having a pretty busy week, though, so I wanted to get on here and talk about it a bit. because it was quite the week. It's quite the week. We had some wild stuff happen with Xbox. We had an indie game, at least for me, come out of nowhere and is immediately, some people are saying, like game of the year contention at this point. So we'll go over that. Got some stuff that happened with Sony, as well as potential Nintendo Switch 2 specs, some hardware specs that got out there.
Okay, so this new Nintendo Switch 2 leak is actually strange because we're talking about a sketch of this console, not leaked photos off of the manufacturing line, but somebody who supposedly has inside info on what the console looks like as well as the dock, taking to the internet and drawing something that has been talked about at length and passed around online, and I do want to weigh in my 2 cents on it because you might want to just throw this out at first glance and say that this is completely unreliable information, but the user that this originated from was actually one of the first accounts that I can find online talking about the fact that we would see the Joy-Cons attached to the new console magnetically, and that information has now been corroborated by multiple accessory manufacturers and various different credible outlets that do claim that, yeah, electromagnetic suction is indeed going to be the system on how these Joy-Cons attach to the new Switch console. And while, again, at first glance, you'll look at a strange sketch and just write it off, we actually also saw the NX back when it was being called that before we got the official first look at the Nintendo Switch console, where a user that was working in manufacturing took to the internet and basically put out a drawing that looked pretty dang similar to what the Ultimate Switch ended up looking like at launch. So we'll get on the same page with all of this new info and also talk about specifically the dock design of this thing, being like the one thing that sticks out in terms of just how there could be some new functionality or components within the dock, like we have seen suggested in verified shipping information we've talked about here before. And if true, the Switch 2 could be planned to be clocked at quite a higher speed when in dock mode, which would obviously just translate to better overall visuals and a gaming experience at the end of the day. So we'll get on the same page with all of this info. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Subro Nation if you're new here. And we have to first kick it off by hopping over to our gaming leaks and rumors, where they have the write-up on exactly what's being claimed here. Boards user posts sketch of Nintendo Switch 2 and dock. Nate the Hate sort of corroborates. User Ninspider posts a basic sketch of the alleged upcoming console, and Nate the Hate says it lines up with what he's been told and is still working to verify the information. Nate's exact quotes are as follows. All I can say is that the dock sketch is similar in design/shape to the one I was sent several weeks ago, meaning a drawing of the alleged dock. But I've been working to verify it. Whether this design has circulated Chinese forums or not, I do not know, but the general design matches what I was sent in September. Again, I haven't verified the design with any contact/source at this time. And what is the image in question? It is the following. Now, right out of the gate, this is a pretty rough drawing, so we're actually going to go over to another user that rendered this kind of redone, and the dock maybe is a little bit more angular here than it needs to be. It might be actually a little bit more rounded based off of the drawing, but you can kind of see the general idea of the shape of an upgrade dock or the next-gen dock for the Nintendo console, and it's quite a bit beefier, quite a bit wider, and that would lead you to believe there's probably some reason for that, additional components being inside, maybe a fan, which we will dive into in a moment, but also want to highlight the U-shaped kickstand on the Switch console itself, which does line up with some other reports that we have heard that now you have a hollowed out U-shaped kickstand on this next gen hardware instead of the entire back flap like we have with the OLED console, which, to be honest, that seems less stable to me. I guess you could view it as something of a carrying handle if you wanted to carry your console like that for some reason when in portable mode, but perhaps there's some type of reason for that, whether it be from a cooling perspective or just more area for ventilation and airflow that maybe Nintendo needed to hollow out that dock and make it a U-shape this time, or just to differentiate it from the OLED model so it looks that much different on a side-to-side comparison. But then the real big question becomes, why would that dock need additional space? And that's kind of where we can tie this back to some of the previous leaks and information we've seen on the console, because there was a ton of shipping data that leaked out for component parts of this console. That also backs up like the magnets thing like we were talking about. But furthermore, there were 2 different cooling fans that were spotted within those shipping documents. And what is interesting about a wider dock is maybe there's room for that additional fan there. It doesn't seem like the system itself will need 2 cooling fans internally. So the speculation is that that secondary cooling fan is likely going to be placed inside of the dock. And while you can't just cool down plastic and expect it to have any notable type of decrease in the internal thermal temperatures, maybe Nintendo has some kind of clever design for this thing that when it is fully sitting in the dock, there's some kind of copper exposure point or something where it can utilize that additional airflow better to cool the internal of the console. It's all speculation, none of that's official, and we really don't know that the wider dock even does include an additional fan
I'll put it into some context for people, and then we can discuss how Nintendo might actually have a somewhat powerful system on their hands. So it should be a lot of fun. Of course, if you wanted to support the podcast or any of the other shows on the Spawncast Network, head over to spawncastnetwork.com, patreon.com/spawncast. We have Josie holding up Game and Talk over there with all kinds of cool ideas, because now you guys are, what's your guys' new show you're doing?
We do Battle of the Sexes, where it's like me and Celia against RGT and Nate. It's pretty cool. The newest one just went up. We played like Iggy's Wrecking Balls on the N64. That's one of the games of all time for sure. So we did that. It was really funny. They're great videos. You guys should check them out. Very fun.
Yeah, it looked like he's having a lot of fun over there. People, the audience really seemed to enjoy it. Seemed to get
No, it was great. Nate and I just came up with it one day after we re-recorded the actual podcast. So I was like, oh, let's try it.
More of those coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's
every other week.
People are pick out of that.
Yeah, we're gonna have content there every week. So there's either gonna be a podcast or the Battle of the Sexes show. So alternate. It'll be great.
Gaming podcast that plays games.
Exactly. We have to prove our worth, you know? It's to be like, hey, we know what we're talking about.
Well, let me go over here. I do want to give a shout out to some of the producers over on the network. We have Trent A, The Game Orb, Justin Maverick, Lucille, Mr. Joby, Joshua Butts, and of course, John O. If you'd like to sign up over there, support. Also, check out all the different shows. We did Direct Xbox last night, and then Nate ended up making some of his comments about Perfect Dark ended up making the rounds, so he's out there now. But it's been a lot of fun over there on the network recently, so check it out. Of course, I have Josie with me. Josie, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. Happy to be back. I'm just hanging out. I've been playing a bunch of different games. I've been trying to get through Donkey Kong Country 2. That game is deceptively very hard.
That was fun to watch. That was enjoyable.
I've never been that.
Getting crushed.
I don't like get that mad, but like that game brings it out of me. I don't know.
Borderline kid smooth in that playthrough. It was great.
I gotta
Those are
throw
some of the
it.
best clips from back in the day with Smooth.
Some of the best.
Set up like his alarm in his house because he smashed his controller so much.
That's
Very entertaining
crazy.
stuff. It is very entertaining.
Broke the back off his controller. It sounded like a broken window. Alarm went off. Wife yelling. It was great.
It was a lot of fun.
Crazy.
Yeah, he had some legendary streams with that. Yeah. So that was fun. And we got Evan here, of course.
Nope.
Holding up the left side of the screen over there. Shout out to Evan. We have we're gonna get some opinions at Evan's side. Actually, we fill it in for curious. Actually,
Fill in
Evan,
your
take
chat.
on a few of these things actually. So I think we'll have some fun tonight. We will. I ended up putting out a bunch of topics just based on some of the people that were on the cast, and it's the three of us now. So we'll go through some of these maybe a bit quicker, but. You know what's really cool is the person that I really wanted to be here, Josie, is here because Animal Well came out.
Yes.
And this is from the publisher Big Mode, which is Donkey's publishing company.
Yeah.
And they've showed this game a few times, and I'll admit, kind of flew under the radar for me. I don't know anyone else, but I feel like I've seen it. But it just didn't really register with me, and I just kept moving and was maybe overshadowed by other stuff. The game came out, and reviews for this have been overwhelmingly positive. Like, for some people, this is the best game they've played, like, for the last year. So some are saying this, in their mind, is like they're a Game of the Year contender for them. Currently sitting, by the way, on Metacritic at a 91. So it is technically one of the best rated games of the year as well. And if you play it, it's a fairly simplistic game technically, but I mean it's like a Metroidvania figure it out kind of game. But the visual style is very different. And it's actually hard to describe. Like you need people to play it.
Yeah, it's true, but like pixelated.
You're playing on the Switch right now, Josie?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, I claimed it on PlayStation Plus, so I'm playing it on PS5.
I just went on PlayStation Plus today, and then I saw it was free on there, and I was like, what did I just do? But now I can play it anywhere, so it's fine. I've been playing it a bit. I think it's great. I was also very surprised by it because I didn't. I mean, I saw it in like the indie showcases and stuff from Nintendo, and I just never was that interested. I thought it was. I just knew that it was Donkey's game, so I was like, "That's cool." But other than that, I was like, "I don't know if it's for me." But yeah, then I saw everybody talking about it on Twitter and saying that it was like the best game ever, so I got it. I really like it. I don't know. You know, I don't know if I can say it's the best game ever because I'm not super far in it, but I think it's really cool.
I played a little over 3 hours of this game, and I was just trying to figure out like how long the game was. I'm not sure, but it keeps going, and I don't feel like I'm that far in it, but I have like some of the items. So it's a Metroidvania. Basically, you go through, you get permanent items for your inventory that then allow you to get to other parts of the map. Like you have a map you go through, of course, looking around, and there's not really a story necessarily. You're in a well and you're going through, and there are animals. I mean, it plays into the title. The whole thing that this game relies on is just the gameplay and kind of the puzzles that interconnect really well. So I'll be on the opposite side of the map, and somehow the puzzle ends up bringing me back to a room that I remember being in that I just passed up because I felt like I couldn't do anything there. And I'll just come out the other side and I'm like, oh, this room actually did connect to the room over there, and now I have this item that can then get me to that. So it's weird. It like walks you through it without actually like just telling you how to do it. It's very interesting the way that it's designed. Maybe I can find a trailer while we're talking about it.
I feel like it's so smart to do a game like that. So then or just at least for me, like a lot of Metroidvanias put me off because it's just like the whole thing is like, oh, it's so great that you're lost, blah blah blah. I don't like being lost. So this game, like where it's not like that, and it's like, if you have to move on and skip something, then it like takes that into account, and I think it's great. I've just been having a good time.
Maybe I can do this.
Yeah, visually it's a really interesting game. Evan, have you played it at all?
I've mostly looked into it. It does look visually interesting. People are saying it's about 5 hours to play with about 15 hours of after content and stuff like that.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I mean this is the game here. There's really no dialogue or anything to it. It's just it has this very distinct art style. I did turn the scan lines off, so maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm I'm like evil or something. I did turn those off, but the visual style it's so weird. So the way that apparently this worked, the person who made this game, it's one person by the way who made it. That's all, just one person. They did it over a course of 7 years, and in order to get this look, they apparently created their own engine that it's built on, and it's made in layers. So people are figuring out that, for example, if you play this on PC, Evan, and you put it in a window mode, and you click the window and drag it around, like just start moving it, like the vines and stuff in the game will start swaying with the window. Like if you're dragging it around. It's so weird.
It's got that fun jank, which is sort of, what is that? It's there's a bunch of games that come out on PC like that people really get into.
Yeah. It has like a fourth wall breaking to it.
Isaac, because I remember people would tear into the code for that game to find out what everything did, what was added for all the patches, and people would deep dive that game for everything.
Yeah, so I don't know if it does anything like that on the Switch, but on the PS5 with the touchpad, if you just swipe in those lanterns and lights, and you'll knock them around if you want. So I don't know the Switch. I've never. I don't know. Did you try the touchscreen at all?
I didn't. I didn't. No.
I'm curious.
I will.
Yeah, that's interesting. But I like it so far. Maybe as I get further in and I beat the game, I'll look back on it and be like, okay, this was a really impressive like Metroidvania. I think the most impressive part is that it gets you through, it makes you feel smart.
Yeah, it does. It really, and it's like, and it's not. It's like almost sort of linear too, which I really like. It's just.
It kind of is actually. You're right. Like it doesn't feel like at first it doesn't, and then you realize that there is probably a set path to get all the way through it.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. It's enjoyable. It has this very minimalistic ambiance to it too, where if you turn the lights off and it's quiet, like dead of night playing it, I don't know. It kind of sucks you into it. It has like that like immersiveness to it without trying to have all these crazy visuals or sounds in front of you. It's kind of got that feeling of sitting outside and you hear the crickets and kind of just the outside noise sort of. It's like that, but obviously in the game. So I like it. It's pretty cool. It's a very good game for PlayStation Plus as well, because there are probably a lot of people who would just pass it up. So
I cannot believe I did that.
You got to see it. You got to ask. I'm telling you, I got it unlocked. Evan even Evan goes through Newswave. We cover all of them. I got people covered on
You know,
that.
I always watch Newswave, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just missing.
Weirdly, so do I.
Yeah. Evan is very knowledgeable with video game news. It's funny. Like, it's most stuff he doesn't even care about either.
No, that's how I always was. Literally, I've watched Newswave for so long. It was like my morning routine. I had coffee and Newswave, and
I actually heard
all of
tell me
them.
that a lot. Yeah, it makes all of them. But yeah, that was one because we go through like PlayStation Plus line. I saw that in there too, and I was like, oh, interesting. That's Donkey's game. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye on that. But impressive stuff from the one person who made it. So that's the other thing. Right now, indie games, how we see all these big AAA games kind of collapsing a bit. I mean, indie games, that's the move right there. If you got the time, the patience, and the drive, you can make something cool like that. So it's pretty inspiring to see a game like that do so well. So
yeah, I mean, definitely, because it's pushing like creative limits too. You know, unlike AAA, it's very, very different. Yeah, I'm just thoroughly very impressed. I think it sets a cool precedent too, almost for like how good are every Donkey game gonna be. Like, what's it gonna look like? Because I feel like he has pretty cool taste. Like most of the games he reviews and stuff. I don't know.
I will say this. He got a lot of heat just because I guess he's trying to do this as a pub. Hey, he got one. He got the first one. It's good.
And it's such a good game, So
I don't know.
What's the future gonna look like?
Keep an eye on Big Mode apparently. If they're figuring it out here with a game like this, who knows? Maybe they'll find another one.
Yeah.
So it's good stuff though. It's really cool to see that this worked out so well.
Yeah.
I do want to. So this is a funny one. This is news that just came out pretty recently. I'm not a Lego person in terms of the physical Legos. My kids love the Legos. I just buy them because they want them at that point. But I originally thought the story was going to be based on just a Lego set, and it appears to be Horizon. So Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West, that franchise. I don't think it's a set of physical Legos. I think it's going to be a Lego Horizon game.
Whoa.
Yeah, does that sound weird?
Lego's doing a lot. They do the Fortnite thing now, right?
That's
It's
what I was
like a
thinking.
Fortnite
It was
crossover.
like maybe it was Fortnite.
Yep.
And it's not gonna be Lego Fortnite, but Horizon skins.
I think this is. I feel like it's a Horizon game because the word was that Sony was going big on Horizon to the point where they were going to do a ton of games, and I almost wonder if this is one of them. It's it might be a Lego Horizon game, and I have no idea what that's going to look like necessarily, but it's an odd crossover, I guess.
Well, normally when Lego does something like that, it's because there's this weird thing about copyright. Because like a company could own a copyright to something, but then if they Legoify it, it means they can do like a side step to get around their ownership of it for like the video game genre. That's what I always remembered when we talked about like the old Marvel and DC games and stuff.
I kind of think this is a way for them to also take Horizon and put it in front of like a younger audience.
Yeah, like
And
kids.
technically, it's not like Horizon isn't a mature rated game. It's also not like, hey, here's something for the 8-year-olds or stuff like that. So
Why does this look like two gay dads and their adopted daughter? Like, what are we doing here?
Sean's already canceled after the first sentence on the
It's
podcast.
just a question. It's just a question.
Are you at your couch on your Chromebook right now?
Sure am. Watch the playoffs, dog.
Chromebook?
Yeah, that's what I use for like everything that's not work related.
You know,
Okay, I was thinking
Chromebook.
Well, no, I thought he was about to like video edit and everything on a Chromebook, which is kind of crazy.
You just press, put together, wait 2 days, all good.
That's basically your tablet with a keyboard is how you treat it, right? Like, yeah. That's what I figured. So, well, Sean's here. Thanks for joining us, Sean.
Good one.
I see you tuned in. Saw 3 people were here. Like, I'm getting in there.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
You gotta stop John from focusing on topics. Hurry up.
We already talked about Animal Well. I don't know if you checked that out, Sean. I didn't really mention it, so I figured you were playing Endless Ocean still.
He's actually really busy with Little Kitty Big City, I heard.
No, I actually did buy Endless Ocean.
Oh, yeah, for Celia.
No, for myself.
Yeah, did you think he wasn't greedy?
Yeah.
Every time he brings that up, people are shocked that he's playing Endless Ocean. Even like Nate was like, "What?"
The new one?
Yeah, I've only played it for like 2 hours, and I'm already kind of over it. Honestly, like it's not bad. I just feel like they could have done, like it just feels like Endless Ocean HD with like a bunch of randos swimming around with you. Like I don't know, like it's so weird. Like I get it, rated E for everyone, and all that. But like if I had come across a fucking big ass like megalodon, and then I scan it, and it's like, this is a serious predator. It'll fucking eat you. And then I like just ran into it like repeatedly with my diver, and like it just kind of sits there. It's almost like, you know what it is? It's almost like you're not a person, you're a camera, and it's just a camera going around under the ocean because nothing ever interacts with you.
You want to fight the shark?
No, I just want there to be some, like you could swim up to a school of fish and just like knock into them, and they just keep going on their path. Like there's no interaction. It just feels so weird.
This guy wants to play Subnautica, get fought by things.
That'd be cool to see Nintendo's take on Subnautica.
Like I get it. You're playing it safe, but like you could do like a fade to black screen if like you get too close to something dangerous, or like poisonous things in the ocean. Like I just wish there was an element of danger in it, because as it stands now, it's literally just like go into these random things and look around. It's like, okay, like I guess that's kind of cool, but it could have been more.
The only thing I'd be curious about is they mentioned there'd be like mythical creatures in the game too. I'm curious how far they went with that. But
Well, no, the megalodons. I mean, they don't really know what it looks like, but yeah, there's definitely, because there's like some like weird caves that you can find. I've already scanned like 1,000 different creatures in the ocean. So I mean, there's definitely been some mythical ones along the way.
I don't know if they'd like, here's the Loch Ness monster or something.
That'd be crazy.
That would be cool, but it would have to be in a specific place because Nessie's only in Loch Ness.
Mm.
I have it too. We should play online.
But like, what's the point?
I know. Well, I mean, what if we just played it during Game and Talk one time? We could just have gameplay in the back.
Yeah, I mean that'd be fine.
Throw it up on the screen while you're playing, and just just plug it in your computer so it streams, and then just throw it up on the screen.
Yep.
Nice and calming. Well, Sean has Endless Ocean. Who'd have guessed?
It's fine. It's not worth $50. If it was like a $20 game, I'd be okay with it. 50, and that's a little steep.
I feel like they should have put combat in it. I think that could have done a lot.
Well, just some sort of protection, Like maybe you could stun. Like, okay, if you come across some big creature, like you could stun it somehow or something. Just add a little element of danger, and I think it becomes more of a game. It almost feels like an educational tool, which is fine. But when you come, if I come across a big ass shark, I want there to be some sort of element of danger.
Yeah.
We were talking about the Lego Horizon stuff, Sean. Maybe a game.
Boy.
I don't know. I know you don't really think. Sean did try to play Horizon, and at one point he sent me a clip of him yelling at his TV. I heard of his attempt to play it. You know what I've noticed with Horizon? Either you're really into it or you just don't care about it at all. It doesn't really seem to be too much of a middle to that when I look online for people who play it. And Sean's just not into it at all. So
Aloy is a boring character.
I hear that a lot. I hear people talk about that a lot.
And so the whole point of Lego games is the enjoyment comes from if you're a fan of the source material. I'll play Lego Batman. I'll play Lego Star Wars. I'll play all Lego Jurassic Park. I beat the 3 different games that are in there, because I enjoy Jurassic Park. But when it comes to Horizon, it's like you're not. I mean, maybe they're trying to reach like a potential younger demographic. That kind of makes a little bit of sense. But at the same time, it's like it's really only kind of for Horizon fans. And obviously, I mean, there are quite a bit of them out there. The game tends to sell pretty well, but not. Yeah, I don't like. And then there's rumors of the Zero Dawn remake
with a remake
because they delisted it off PSN. So it's like Is this a Horizon fucking showcase that you're gonna be doing? Like, if so, nothing.
Well, word is there's some sort of event from Sony this week coming up. That's the word. And maybe this is there. And you're right, it might be an announcement for a Lego game with Horizon, and then the remake for Horizon Zero Dawn from the PS4 is also coming out. I don't really know why we need that. It doesn't. If you've played Horizon Zero Dawn recently, it still looks fine. I don't know. It's odd that they would go that route, but okay.
I mean, did you play The Last of Us? Did you play The Last of Us 2 remastered?
I did not actually. No.
Okay.
I didn't really feel the need to be honest. I mean, I was fine with Last of Us 2 for the gameplay, and then I went back and looked at the update that they did for the PS5, and that put it to 60 frames at 1440p, and I was fine with it there. I don't think people are posting those screenshots as like side by side, and I was like, this is obviously gonna be them joking. They're like, no, that's it. So,
Yeah, the shadows were a bit different. That's it.
I wish we could get Lego City Undercover too.
Oh, that game was good. Like
that was actually a pretty good game. Yeah, co-op in that was good.
They used the Wii U gamepad really well.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I think I played that on the Wii U. I played that on,
Well, they had the Wii U, and then they had like a 3DS, like sort of pseudo spin-off, and then it came out on other platforms too. But like nobody bought it, which is a shame.
Switch.
It's a fun GTA pseudo-ish game.
I might have played it on the PlayStation when it came out there. Now I'm thinking about it. Maybe. I know I played it in co-op. Actually, no, like 2 years ago, I think I played it in co-op. I think it's on PlayStation Plus.
Oh. The thing that's cool about Lego games is that they're pretty good for co-op.
Was the Wii U pad, was that for the map? Was that what that was used for?
It was for the map. It was for your communications. Like when the chick would call you or whatever, you would use that to communicate and stuff. It was pretty well done. It was a super fun game. It's just different. I think it's a game that would do, like if a game like that came out in 2024, I think it would be very popular because even if it was a sequel, it still has that element of freshness to it instead of all these, remakes, remasters that a lot of people have already played. And it just, obviously with the companies all in the positions that they are in right now, it would be a third party game that I think could be successful, but maybe it just came out at the wrong time.
I'll give him credit. At least this is different. As you're saying there, we got a lot of remakes, remasters. This is actually different. So, you know what? I'll at least hold out to see what it looks like and what they're going for. So
I played a Lego game today. I played Lego Batman 3, and it's
That's a good game.
right. Yeah, pretty good. I like the cutscenes. The Lego cutscenes are really funny every time. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with like a Horizon story, I guess.
Let me go over to, all right, so this is a good one for Evan. I feel like this is one that came up last week, and you weren't here, Evan. Is
Shellac 4v4 tournament. Oh.
Well, you played Helldivers 2 on PC quite a bit.
Yeah, until everyone I knew stopped, and then I stopped.
You guys basically beat the game. Like, there was nothing left for you guys to do, I feel like. What level were you when you finished?
Well, we were capped at the time, but then they upped it to 120 or something. So
They raised level cap, yeah. Well, did you see the business going on about the,
Oh, yeah.
Yes, okay. I'm curious, what would your thought have been there, Evan, if it required, would you have just signed up for PlayStation Plus and like whatever, or PlayStation account?
I mean, unless the people I knew that played were still planning on getting back into it, I really wouldn't care enough to make it. It was always funny though, seeing the conversations going on around this, just because it was a boatload of people who were like, "Oh, just sign up for a PSN account. It doesn't matter. Why does that matter?" And then they realized that there are countries who are like, "You can't have a PSN account here. You just can't."
Yes.
170 plus.
Yeah.
So that is eye-opening for everyone to be like, why would they make that bad of a business decision for their best-selling game? That's wild. It's because it's Sony.
Well, they delisted it in those countries, and apparently they haven't put them back yet. So that's interesting. And now Ghost of Tsushima's going through a whole thing because PlayStation account is needed for multiplayer for that. Which, by the way, Ghost of Tsushima, when that first came out, it was just a single-player game. So the Legends DLC came later. But yeah, when I bought the game, it was just that single player. They added Legends in later. I don't really know why they don't just sell it as a single player only game, how it first came out in those countries. It seems weird to me that they seem, it almost feels kind of desperate on their end to keep this PSN thing going in those countries, even to where they're just delisting it. It's like, what the heck did you do that? Is that important to you? When you can't just figure out a way to single player here. You're gonna. That's the majority of Ghost of Tsushima anyway.
It's almost like that could potentially backfire.
Yeah, I think this whole business with PlayStation account is just a bad idea for them because they are going to want to do a launcher in the next, I'm going to say, year and a half or 2 years. They're going to try to do it, and this is not a great first step.
Like PC launcher?
Yeah, I think they're going to try to have that Sony launcher. Yeah, and
Wow.
yeah, I mean, I think there are ways that they could sell their account. It's a free account, but I think there are ways they could do it outside of just like you have to do this. I feel like if they implement cross-buy, that would be a big one. Because then it's like, okay, if I'm on PC and if I buy this on Steam, I only have it on Steam, but I bought it on PlayStation's launcher. Technically, it's also on a console that maybe I don't have now, but I could in the future, or maybe if they do a handheld, it also counts for that in the future. Like there is kind of that thought process of getting more for your money there.
Yeah, but you think that'll happen, or do you think someone in the boardroom will go, but then we get more money if they buy it twice, and then everyone will nod?
That's true too. I cannot dispute that, but I will say they did cross-buy for a little while there on the. I remember they did it on the Vita and the PS3, and then also the Vita and the PS4, where you bought it on the Vita or the 3, and then it would go between the two of them. But they were also pretty desperate trying to get people to buy the Vita, so I don't know if that desperation's there as much.
You know, someone put a slide up with a number and said, "This is how much we lost," because buy it in 2 places.
They're really banking, I think, on the trophies being something that's going to get people over, and I just don't know if that's. I just don't feel like that's going to pull PC gamers like that when they. I mean, they have Steam achievements. They really want something like that now.
Barely give a shit about those.
Yeah, I mean, even Steam's trying to do a lot. They did trading cards. Like
Steam's done so much. It's great.
They're trying to do stuff to get people in that kind of gamification outside of the game and to attach these achievements. And I just don't know if PC, because I just don't. Even when I play the PC games, I never really think about the Steam achievements unless it just pops up on the bottom right. And my thought once it happens is, I'm gonna turn that notification off.
Yeah, that's a little intrusive to what I'm doing here. I need to hear it.
At least like the trophy pop is cool, the achievement pop is cool. For some reason, Steam, that's the thing they've never really figured out is how to make that feel like, how to be like a satisfying like achievement pop up or something.
That's because it's kind of garbage. Like the Xbox one where it's just like, boop, and then it puts it in the middle of your screen. Imagine playing like a really sad game and you get to the end of a chapter and like someone you really like in the story dies and it's just like achievement. And you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah. I guess they can also do the save data transfer and cross save stuff. I feel like there's got to be better ways to get people on board outside of just forcing them to do it. Because if you try to force somebody rather than convince them they should do it, then they won't ever do it. So. Be very resistant. People were very resistant to Steam when it first showed up. Now everyone loves it. So.
Yeah, it's a little different though.
I guess. I mean, back then, if you bought Half-Life 2 physically, you still needed to download and connect with Steam. It was really annoying. Yeah, that was a whole thing back then. So, well, they got it figured out eventually. I mean, they built a good platforms. That helps. So.
There was a period in my life where I only wanted like Steam games and like completely fell off of console. I was like 13, I think, and I just got a MacBook. Subnautica. You can't play much on a Mac though, but I played all the Portal games and Subnautica for like $10.
It's a solid combo.
So it's pretty cool.
Macs have gotten a little better with their new M chips, but they still need to figure out ways to get stuff ported to it.
Yeah, it's like the support isn't. Yeah, it's weird.
They're capable. They're capable chips. You can play the new Resident Evil Village on like technically it works on a MacBook Air that doesn't even have a fan.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive. But
you can play it on a Nintendo Switch. What are you talking about? A beautiful cloud version.
Oh gosh, that cloud version technically works on iPhone now, not the Switch.
Oh.
Unless
powerful. These things are crazy.
Digital Foundry did a video today actually comparing the Switch to the iPhone. So
Realize how much more powerful is the iPhone?
Pretty close, and the iPhone doesn't have a fan, so I was a little surprised. It's one of those things where it's like, geez, we really are to the point where phones are just overtaking the Switch completely. So
I mean, the technology is nearly 10 years old in the Switch. What do you expect?
That was cell phone stuff back then too.
Yeah. I mean,
But here's the good news. We're within 10 months of the next system being revealed. Within 10 months. We had their financials come out, which the console's now over 141 million sold. 13.5 million is what they're expecting this fiscal year, which would actually place them as a little above the DS. So it would make it the best selling Nintendo system of all time. But the thing everyone cared about is Furukawa showed up on X.
This is Furukawa.
Yeah, it sounds like it's bad news coming. It's like I just envision that it sounds like they walk into a room and announce themselves. That's how I read it every time. And it said, hey, the next system is getting revealed this fiscal year, so we have until March 31st, 2025 for them to do it. And there's a Nintendo Direct next month, June, but it will not be mentioned at all there. So they just shut down those expectations.
well, there shouldn't
Sean,
be
the crystal
expectations.
ball will just have the Switch logo on it this time.
There shouldn't have been when have they ever talked about hardware at a Direct?
I mean, no, but have you seen the YouTube, like the, I don't know, you're grabbing anything. Holy shit, we gotta talk, 70 million videos. God, my feed was attacked that day.
You're welcome.
No, you guys make good videos though, and then God. I also made a video to be fair, so like I understand.
I didn't make a video.
Evan.
Yeah. Either way, the Switch 2 coming up this fiscal year. Next month though, Direct as expected. E3 not E3 time. Probably second week of June maybe it'll happen. And of course, people were talking about what could be there if it's not Switch 2. Remasters, remakes, anything you guys want to see? Anything you guys want to see there before we discuss some of the Switch 2 specs?
I think it's time to bring them back. Rusty's real deal baseball, baby.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go.
That'd be awesome. That'd be super cool.
All right, that's fine. I figured the Zelda, the double pack,
The double pack.
Wind Waker. I mean, we heard it so many times.
Are we gonna let the leakers take a victory roll on that? Because
It's been so long.
Yeah,
Which ones? The ones from like 6 years ago who were telling us something new?
yeah, I feel like it's been just so long, and it makes sense to have them on there considering like every other Zelda game pretty much except for DS and 3DS is on there. Like, is that really a victory lap? I don't think it is. I think there needs to be a cutoff time with this sort of shit.
You're not gonna give MVG any credit for Banjo if it's announced in 2.5 years.
No, because I mean that's like there could be a new Halo, or there could be a new Gears of War. It's like, wow, really? A company making a game based on a franchise that they usually make games about? Wow, you knocked it out of the park, pal.
I feel like the only notable leaker, right, is Pioro.
You mean
Like,
Nate?
Oh yeah, and Nate, but like Nintendo.
No. They're the same person.
Yeah, Nate is Pioro. Pioro's Nate.
Oh, my bad.
People's
He's been bugging me out all the time. Sometimes PR would say something, and I'm like, Nate, you gotta stop talking like that through PR. Stop referring to yourself as one on the PR account.
That's where he tests the waters a little bit.
Before revealing it in Game and Talk, check it out.
One of these days, he's gonna accidentally respond as PRO, but in his other Twitter account and mess everything up.
He's gonna at you specifically asking a question or just being in a reply. It's like, oh yeah.
Well, we've got the Nintendo World Championships coming up in July, which I did manage to get an order for the physical copy.
Really? I tried so hard.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, MVG told me that it was there, and then I saw Brian Altano link to it immediately under my comments.
see.
I just went to it right away.
See, I saw him say it was on GameStop, but it was sold out. But I found it on Best Buy at the same time.
Okay.
Did you get one on Best Buy?
Yeah, I got one on Best Buy.
God, I didn't think about any of that. I just went to the Nintendo thing and I was like, what the hell? Where is it? Yikes.
That gold cartridge is what got me. That's what I wanted.
I mean, it's a nice looking physical edition of it. So I mean, it'll be fun for what it is. It'll work really well for you guys for like the Battle of the Sexes game.
That's true. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
So it'll be fun just to have. I don't know. I mean, they do 8-player apparently still on the same screen for that. So
It's so random to me though that they didn't like that's not in the direct. Like, what do you guys think?
Well, that's their July game.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, a
true.
little bit
So they
of
would have their direct, and they're like, "This is out in 5 weeks, and we're going to do a physical copy," and retailers would hate them for that.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
I remember Nintendo back then; they gave us 6 weeks cutoff for our pre-order numbers.
Okay.
So it'd be like a month and a half before this game comes out, you can tell us how many pre-orders you guys have. So we have to go, and that would to the wholesaler, who then also goes to Nintendo. So that's a whole thing there. But I figured that probably was just within that like 5 to 6 week cutoff. For like, let's just do it now.
It would either be that or what they did with Prime Remastered, where it's like, here's the digital, physical later. Like, I think that shit is dumb.
Yeah, that is kind of annoying. So maybe they just didn't want to go through that again. And it's like, it's Nintendo World Championships, whatever, drop it out. Which it's still sold out. So I guess it worked either way. But I mean, that Metroid Prime 4 if Metroid Prime 4 is not here, I feel like that's a problem. So you close out the direct with that. Comes out this holiday.
Do you think it's going to be cross-gen?
I think it will get, to my understanding, there's only a Switch version of this game right now. That's to my understanding. So there is no next-gen Switch version that's like one of the SKUs or anything currently. I think it's an update for the next system. So I think they'll get Retro put out some sort of patch if you have the new system, and it's I don't know, upscale 4K.
Free patch?
I'm gonna say yes.
Ooh.
I know. I'm gonna say
That is a
the only thing that trips me up about this, Sean, is I feel like they want more $70 games, and I feel like that's one where they put in the eShop for $10 for the upgrade, and they call it something else. Not an upgrade. They call it like deluxe edition or some weird thing where it's like if you have the cart or the digital download, you can also get this. I don't know. It's
just a little skin.
The only reason, though, I would look at this as a free upgrade is because Metroid Prime 4 is kind of a special case scenario where they legitimately messed it up, and it's taken them so long to get this thing to market that I feel like that is almost like hey, sorry about that. Here's a little upgrade if you buy our new $400 console. So I don't know. It's waited all generation for it. It'll be good to see it finally. But that's the big one, and there should be a new Fire Emblem game as well.
Good. It's been way too long.
It's been a whole
Fire
year.
Emblem game.
Yeah. Well, hey,
Can't do another Warriors.
Oh no, I think it's just new Fire Emblem game.
Wow, that's
I think it's
crazy.
new Fire Emblem game. So
You know what? Engage was actually really good.
I think it's like a remake or something. People have talked about it. I've heard about it. It's been kicked around. I'm like, I guess I'm not as in the Fire Emblem as like OJ, for example, would probably be able to tell me what it's a remake of and stuff.
Is it? I think it's. Wasn't it rumored to be one of the 3DS games?
I thought it was rumored to be the GameCube one.
Oh yeah, you're right. Like the first one that came over to the US or something, right?
No, that was Game Boy Advance. The first one came out on Game Boy Advance for the States.
Well,
You know what I would like to see? I'd like to see them, and this is such like the monkey paw moment here when I say this. I would like to see Mario Baseball just to round out the
Yes.
sports teams.
Oh, you will.
But I know how they treat these sports games, and they're going to give me the Mario Baseball, but they'll only give me half of Mario Baseball at first. We'll get the rest of it over the course of a year and a half. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
would like to
3
see that.
stages.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's like maybe they've held it this whole time and they've been working on it and feel like a complete game. I'm not counting on it though. It's gonna be
I'm not buying
Jerk
it.
feed,
You know what? If they put motion control in that thing, I don't even care. I'll probably buy it. I feel like that'd be so fun.
Like the Joy. Oh, okay, yeah.
We could swing it like a bat. Like I'd love that.
Correction. It's a Super Nintendo game, Fire Emblem 4.
Thank
One
you.
of the Japanese only ones. The Chad is not happy with our Fire Emblem dropping of knowledge.
Sorry,
Thank you.
just a girl. I don't know.
It's they said it's on the SNES. Wouldn't that be the FSC, the Super Famicom?
Gotcha, chat.
And you don't watch this, man. He berates you and you watch it. Crazy.
I would like Mario Baseball. I think it'd be fun, sure. And because I was thinking about like, you remember the bigs on the Wii? That was why I really remember with the motion controls, and it was one of those things where you'd swing and it was super delayed, and you just stand there and wait to see if you had a home run. That was fun though. I don't know, different times. See, now they've said this about the Switch too. People are gonna be like, "Yeah, cool, Direct," but in the back of their mind, they'd be like, "All right, when's the next system? How much longer till after this Direct do we see the new system?" Either way, Direct
At least
coming
we
up
got
next
some
month.
concrete evidence. I think it's huge win.
Yes. We can actually. Hey, you actually talk about the Switch too. People aren't annoyed because the president, Nintendo, said it.
So I finally made a Switch. I have not talked about the Switch 2 in like a dedicated video on my channel ever. So I was like, here's the time.
Pop your cherry.
Well, along with that, along with the Rack Switch 2 stuff, it does seem like more and more information is getting out there now. And to be fair, it's coming from Fama boards who did some pretty serious research on this, to where it's like, okay, this is getting really like in the weeds kind of here, and it's borderline like obsessive at times, but they did come up with results. I'll give them that. They have been on this thread because it predates fanboards. It goes back to like Reset era, and then they carried it over to there since 2018, I think. So, and it's always been about the next system, whether it's a Pro or a Switch 2. So they are very close to the finish line right now. So shout out to them, I guess. They've stuck with it this whole time, and now they have results because they found a lot of the stuff in shipment. So information of different materials and things being shipped between like Nintendo, Nvidia, to these different factories, because they do eventually have to manufacture these things. And while we have an idea as to the chip that's going to be in it, this has been discussed for a long time. People have actually kept up on Linux updates to figure this one out. But with the shipment information, it kind of gives you an idea as to what parts are going to be used since they're sending them out. And the biggest ones that people looked into that do give us an idea as to some of the capabilities of the system: 12 gigabytes LPDDR5X RAM, 7500 mega transfers a second. What's it like? Roof 120 gigabytes a second for memory bandwidth, which, if you want to compare it to just the Switch now, a little more than 4 times that amount. That is the biggest weak point currently of the Switch, so that is actually very good news. And the storage, 256 gigabytes UFS 3.1. Again, if I put this in the context with something like the Xbox Series S or the X, a little slower. Not by much, though, like a hair slower. So what this means to me, looking up and down these specs here, this is a significant jump over the current Switch. Like, quite a bit, to where it will feel like a generational leap. Now, I don't know if it would feel as much of a leap if it was from the Switch, a Switch Pro, quote unquote. So, looking back on it now, the fact that while we have gone, we're in the 8th year of the system now, and it's still rolling, I think it is probably a good thing Nintendo just went to the next gen hardware and didn't try to do that Pro. Now that I'm looking back on it, that said, we're close, so maybe that makes it easier to say that, because the current Switch needs help. It really does, and I'm glad to see this. Now, the thing that's very interesting about this system, it's going to be hard to compare it to AMD stuff, which is what's in the PS5 and the Xbox Series, but it's been suggested to me that people might be surprised at, for example, the ray tracing capabilities of the system. It could have ray tracing ability similar to the PS5, which would be very weird to see that in a handheld. But it should be stronger and more capable than the current Steam Deck and the ROG Ally, I would say, if I had to take a guess. But I am really curious to see what Nintendo gets out of this thing, and I hope they do eliminate load times. I don't know if any of you guys noticed this, going from the Switch to the PS5 or the Xbox Series, like for load times, but it really sticks out to me now when I go back to the Switch.
I don't think I noticed anything like that, but
I mean, I don't really have ADD like that, so it doesn't,
oh,
it doesn't bother me that much. Like,
wow.
yes, there is a difference. I mean, it's hard for me to care about specs because you know how many people cared about specs when the Series X and PS5 were announced. 12 teraflops better than 10 teraflops. And then it didn't make a fucking difference. I want to see it in action. You can have all the power in the world, but if you don't know how to use it right, it doesn't matter. I mean, so I want to see the practicality of it. Like, yeah, that's cool. Show me how it works. Show me what you're doing with that. Show me what the games are going to look like. And obviously, we're going to have to wait for a while, but. And I don't really care about ray tracing. I could
Well, what is like ray shade? Like, what does it even really do?
It's for lighting in different environments, so it reacts more naturally.
Yeah, it
Rather than
allows
having
to bounce off of surfaces. And
usually, but on consoles, it's usually at the. Usually, you have to sacrifice like frame rate performance. Yeah, you have to sacrifice performance. So it's stupid to me. It's like I would rather the game play better than look at this lighting. It's like that motherfucker on the Wii. Remember him? Or was it the Wii U, the water guy? He'd always review the water in all the games.
No, yeah.
That dude was cool.
But that's the thing. The bounce isn't just light; it's also reflections. People saying puddles, but they also have sound as well. So you can actually technically do bouncing audio in rooms to try to make it sound as realistic as possible.
Like spatial shit.
Yeah, so that's the thing that's so interesting to me is Nintendo is one of those companies that will get weird with some of this technology. So I'm curious to see what their developers come up with now that they would have a machine in front of them that can actually do these things. And the problem we have with ray tracing right now is, one, as you mentioned, Sean, the performance takes a hit when you use it. But two, I feel like most gamers still have to have it pointed out that it's on. Like they have to be told that there's ray tracing in this scene. Like NVIDIA has tried to show it off in the past, and in their very basic examples of shapes with light being thrown on it, like, okay, I see it. But then when you're playing like Battlefield or something where it's fast moving, or even say, I don't know, Cyberpunk, sure, it looks better, but I don't know if people go, oh, well, I mean, yeah, obviously I need to have that on for a hit to frame rate that's like, oh, now this thing runs at 20 frames per second or something on my GPU. So,
right. It's a trade-off that I'm not interested in.
That said, Nintendo turning in a system that can, say, do 4K upscaled is, I think, intriguing to a lot of people. So
I'm sure the Pokemon company is going to knock it out of the park. I'm sure they're going to have some fucking brilliant-looking games on there.
Well, I do wonder if development's going to get harder at when they make the jump to 4K because there's going to be more expectations and more of the flaws will be easier to see, that kind of thing. I'm curious how Game Freak and the Pokemon Company adapt to that with their tight schedule.
When you consider all the flaws are very visible now.
Yeah. I mean, on one hand, it should help their games run better. But on the other hand, I don't know. They should just embrace it. Adapted well to HD.
They should just embrace it. Put out trailers with the bugs in it and be like, check it out. It's funny.
Embrace the jank.
Yeah, go with it.
Well, it's worked for them this far. So, Scarlet and Violet are almost the second best-selling Pokemon game of all time.
Those games are good if you get over the jank, but the jank is abundant. So,
if the jank wasn't there, it would be a much better game. Yes, and the bugs, the crashing, all kinds of matters. So,
yeah,
the patch is coming. Let me go over to some of the super chats here, and then we'll talk about Xbox's week, which was a week. Shout out to Noah. No, new member. Shout out. Mr. Joby says, just bought my tickets to too many games. Excited to go. Any tips for a first timer? Yes, I'm not a Patreon producer anymore. Please stop shouting me out. I'm a fraud. We got you, Mr. Joby. The too many games, though, if you've never been, I guess my biggest recommendation is to, when you first get there, just kind of make the rounds before you spend any money.
Yeah, if you've never been to a convention, the people selling, they want to get rid of that stuff. So the longer it sits on their shelf, the lower the price will go eventually. Usually what you want to do is find the one thing you really want and then maybe pick it up just in case someone else is going to grab it. But then all the things where you're like, maybe just wait, get 30, 40% off. It's fantastic.
Also, I know it's exciting to see, people go there for all the different games. I think one of the more interesting parts about a convention like this is some of the more unique pieces, like the memorabilia, or there are some really cool, pieces of art and stuff that's done there where you can put in a game room. That like they're handcrafted and like I'm trying to remember his name. But he was there was one section there where they took old NES cartridges, like that were defective or whatever, and they removed the circuit board and they installed clocks in them, so you can hang them up. Clock. Yeah, see, it's like stuff like that. It's kind of cool, right? And it's different. So a lot of that stuff will be there. That's usually what I recommend people to look into because it's more of like the unique piece you can remember your time there with. So, or just buy games. That works too. That's my recommendation. Look at everything before you spend any money. Make a couple laps before you do any of that. And also Sunday is when everything's cheaper. Mighty Ryan says, the gaming industry is cooked when even the Spawncast had to do layoffs. Future Millionaire says, have a good weekend, everyone. I'll listen to this on Monday when I get back to work. Schwa says, thoughts on the CSM Codex?
Chaos Space Marine Codex. I mean, I'll talk about it on stream. I don't really know if it's worth talking about it here among people who probably have no idea what I'm talking about. It looks good, though. I might pick it up.
Oh, okay. Okay, when are you streaming?
Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, usually at noon.
You streaming this?
No. Not this.
Just stream, you're going to talk about the Codex there.
Yeah.
All the time. Okay.
That's what I was
doing. You know, painting?
Yeah, I do tons of painting. I'm just talking about stuff, shooting the shit.
You got one of your figures near you?
I can try to present what we were.
Hold it up.
Well, no, I might hang on now.
Is it like D&D figures?
Video file. I have no idea if this is going to work. No, not really.
Like minis?
D stuff. Here we go. Oh, that's upside down, and I have no idea why.
That's rad.
Yes, we did that this
It
week.
looks cooler upside down.
Yeah, anti-grav,
It's very weird that it's upside down, but yeah, we just do fun stuff.
Is that up on your channel too?
Yeah, I put the stuff up.
Do you hand paint those?
Yeah, those are all hand painted.
Damn it, that's crazy.
Yeah, it comes in now. All right, we'll check it out on his channel then. I guess talk about CSM Codex Monday.
Yeah, Chaos Space Marine stuff. We can go over it.
Okay. Michael says, I'd make a PSN account. It's for Demon Souls. Okay, here's the real question. Sony announces this week coming up on the showcase that Bloodborne is getting a full-on remake. It's coming to the PS5 and the PC, but you need a PlayStation account to play it. Who's signing up? I'm gonna call out people on that. B says, Evan, did you try WoW SOD at all?
Season of Discovery, no. WoW was best for me when I had the group that I played with, and most of them aren't playing anymore. I've watched people play it, and it seems so soulless that they just get into looking for group channels, run dungeons, don't talk to anyone. It's not what it was, and I'm not interested.
Lotan says, John, when will you cover the new exploits for PS4 using just Wi-Fi all the way up to 11? Cheers and enjoy you all. I've actually been looking into that quite a bit, Lotan. I think you're going to see MEG talk about it a little bit, but I wanted to exploit the PS4 Pro. I think that's what I do. But what I wanted to do was use a Raspberry Pi as well. I kind of have a plan for that. So I'm working on ideas around making that happen. I kind of wanted it to be internal almost, but I might be able to keep it external and cover it up a little bit. That's the plan now. I gotta finish my video for the Game Boy OLED for tomorrow. That's my plan there. Christian says, come on guys, please remember that the rumored Fire Emblem remake is Genealogy of the Holder. See, OJ would have corrected that. That's the Super Nintendo Fire Emblem title.
Super fan.
Christian.
Get him.
John Harrington says, path tracing in Cyberpunk is insane. I hope the tech can evolve in its efficiency so that it's a toggle for devs to slash time spent on making a game. That'd be nice if we get to the future where it's just, I don't say it's free, but it's very, it does not affect performance like it does now. So, Andy says, hey John, want to ask, I fixed the GameCube, new thermal paste cleaning. How long will I get out of console with care? For a GameCube, the GameCube itself is pretty solid. The only thing that would really go wrong now then would be the laser. Like those lasers will die over time. But if you get SD card loader, replace it with that, you know, we could go. Eco boot. That's the move. Perfect Image says, have you guys finished Rise? I'm on chapter 3. Xbox reminds me Windows Phone. If Sony separates Paramount as a whole, it's not logical, right?
So there's 3 parts to this.
I want to decipher.
I think the first question is,
Giving me a
have you guys finished Rise of the Ronin? They're on chapter 4.
I have not finished Rise of the Ronin. No, I've not finished that.
I
Still-
haven't played it.
Still working on it.
I think I
I'm
want
working
to
on
play it.
Starblade right now. It's cool. It's I don't know if you probably haven't played Way of the Samurai. It's what Tenchu. What would I compare it to? Neo? Have you played Neo?
I'm pretty uncultured when it comes to games.
What
that are.
open world
No, this
action?
is good actually.
I don't play open world action games. They get too overwhelming for me usually.
I think you would actually like Rise of the Ronin then. Josie, if you haven't played the others, I feel like this is a very approachable one. Like the thing I noticed with it is after playing like Neo, which will just kill you over and over again, Rise of the Ronin has felt fairly easy for the most part going through it. But
We think you need an
It's,
easy
uh,
game, Josie.
It's because I'm a girl.
well, I would say
Non-country tale.
I would say Elden
That's
Ring is a lot easier than some of the other Souls games just because it's open world and you can leave and just go level up. Whereas the other Souls games, it's like now bash your head against the wall for the next 4 hours trying to beat this one boss.
Have you guys seen? I don't know if you guys are that played it, but have you seen Kai Cenat trying to like beat the very first?
It's all over. I saw it over X. I can't believe I'm surprised did no one in chat tell him to just walk around the first.
The poor guy. That like so brutal.
I respect it. He finally beat the motherfucker.
Oh yeah,
He did.
made a very entertaining stream out of it too. So
I give a lot of credit to people who
Be
play
alright.
Souls games on stream because that is you're already dealing with chat and those games are already brutal. So
yeah. So imagine me with Donkey Kong Country too. It's crazy.
It's been a wild ride.
Next part is Xbox reminds me of Windows Phone.
Because they gave up on Windows Phone because
They
everyone
did give
thought
up
it was
on Windows
garbage.
and now Microsoft wants to have an app store without having the phone.
So that's why it reminds them of the phone. And then if Sony separates Paramount as a whole,
It's
so
not
that's a
logical.
thing. It's not, and then it's just not logical.
To separate,
That's-
because Sony's trying to get bid for Paramount. Well, because
They're trying to acquire Paramount.
with Apollo, so they're coming together. And no, it's what's the firm called? It's
Just say money, people.
I mean basically that's one of those. Sony, Apollo, Paramount. Yeah. Okay. So Apollo is there's like a whole. That's fine. It's just Apollo. I'll just say Apollo. But they're basically coming together trying to acquire Paramount. And it's funny because obviously Halo's on Paramount, but they're trying to acquire them. And the idea is they might have to break up certain aspects to make it work. Like
That'd be crazy,
money-wise or regulators.
Paramount owns like Nickelodeon too, or part of it. Yeah. So that'd be a crazy acquisition.
Remember the crusty comedy classic at the Apollo? Didn't go well with that seat.
Another me question.
Thanks, Sean. Coke Slurpee says, Evan, have you jumped into Warhammer: The Old World yet? I'm making ALS
Sigmar.
Marathon minis into
Haven't done Old World,
started, but Bretonia having a blast.
Yeah, I haven't done Old World, but I am getting ready for the launch of the new rules for AOS. They seem interesting. Kind of into that.
Wow. I think we need to go over and check out your channel too then. See into it. Okay. Well, I like this game. Says, remember how cool parallax scrolling was coming from 8 to 16 bits and how I never saw much of it while playing because all my focus was on the movie character. Ray tracing is even less noticeable.
Parallax is still cool.
It's
Yeah,
Paramount.
it's fucking.
It's when there's multiple layers and they move at different speeds to make things look 3D.
Oh, that is cool.
That was weird for the Super Nintendo. It was like, oh, what is going on here?
Oh yeah.
Move 7. Oh, that was like you'd be of like the flames.
Yeah, it was under you at an angle and it was going.
Yeah, that was weird. Nicholas says, "Hey John, I got a launch PS3 console with only about 100 hours on playtime. Wow, jeez. I will replace the throne case. Are there other things I should do? Wow, only 100 hours of playtime on that thing? That's pretty low. I mean, thermal paste is the obvious one. If it's that, it's really that well kept, that's probably the major thing you have to do. Keep an eye on the fan, because I don't want to tell you to delit it if you don't have to. You might have to.
Big thing is also the power supply you're having. You really have to pay attention to those as it ages, because the metal ones would get like cindering hot. Remember that, where we would touch those and it would burn your skin? It was crazy.
You might be able to, because we found out that you can actually go to one of the newer power supplies from like the second run that had a plastic bottom.
That's nice.
That's kind of a metal top.
Super cool.
Yeah, they would run a lot cooler. Those would work well to change them out. But I would start with thermal paste and then kind of go from there. Get a nice one too, like some MX4 Arctic Silver or something like that. Don't get like a cheapo brand, because the PS3 will test it. Absolutely will. Okay, let's talk about Xbox.
They are thriving.
It was not a good week for Xbox. It seemed like every day something was happening. That was like Xbox taking shot after shot after shot. They were just getting beaten up all week. But it did start where IGN seemed to intercept an email, or they had it leaked to them most likely from one of the studios that probably got let go. Anyway, this was from Matt Booty, who sent out this email. Sean. Okay. Say, to double down on these franchises and invest to build new ones requires us to look across the business, identify the opportunities that are best positioned for success. This reprioritization of titles and resources means that few teams will be realigned to others, and that some of our colleagues will be leaving us.
Only some.
So I want to start with the first two that I'll admit I don't think a lot of people were. Many people are probably like, who are those? Who are they? Alpha Dog Studios and Roundhouse Games. I want to mention that in this email, which, by the way, this is an email that was sent out to tell many people that their studios were being shut down, or that they were essentially moving to another division. Some of these were just, okay, we're merging you in. Some of these were okay, some of you are going to let go, others are going here. He got those two names wrong for the studios. And it took me 2 minutes to just search them up to see more about these studios. But technically, it's Alpha Dog Games and it's Roundhouse Studios. So we're off to a good start, Matt. Anyway, we have Alpha Dog Studios, who made Mighty Doom. That's a mobile game. I did not play it. I wasn't even really aware of it, but it's going to be sunset August 7th. It's like a top-down Doom game for mobile. As for Roundhouse Games, they mostly worked on Elder Scrolls Online. They're just merging in then to the parent studio then with ZeniMax Online Studios. So Roundhouse Games isn't necessarily being shut down as much as, hey, we're just changing the sign on the door basically for them. But still, they won't be there to maybe run support for something else. They're all in on Elder Scrolls Online, or who knows, maybe they're making something new.
Yeah, they
Arcane
Redfall as well.
See, that's the problem.
Yeah, Redfall took them out. It's over.
Yes. Redfall. Speaking of Redfall, Arcane Austin. Studios closing, some members of the team joining other studios to work on projects across Bethesda. The DLC, because there was promised downloadable content for Redfall, is not happening. And essentially what they're going to do is they said make good offer, which sounds like they're going to refund people who bought it. I also want to point out that there was a report that there was apparently the people at Arcane Austin were working on an update for the game the day this email went out, and it was part of an update that would grant this game the ability to play offline, so it would not need an online connection. It does not seem like that update's going to happen now, so Redfall will forever be tied to a server and online check, barring some surprise update in a few weeks, because that's when it was scheduled to go out. So it seemed like people at the studio had no idea this was happening up until, like, legitimately this email went out. The last one, the one that set the internet off, is Tango Gameworks. They're just shutting down. They're closed. And I don't think they're relocating anyone. I'd be shocked if they were, because this was their only Japan-based studio. So unless people there are leaving Japan and flying different parts of the world to stay within Microsoft, which I don't know why you would at this point, I don't think so. I think they're just shut down, and they're going to go work with maybe Capcom or Bandai or Nintendo somewhere else. And that pretty much does it for those 4 studios. And I look down this list, and I feel like people could make the case for Arcane Austin to me, and I'd be like, all right, Redfall. Yeah, that's gonna. We've already talked about many times. One bad game can sink your entire studio, and there was word that about 70 to 75% of the original staff who started the game ended up leaving throughout it, and it was like a completely different studio now. It just seems. It definitely seems like Microsoft failed Arcane, as Phil Spencer mentioned in that interview a year ago on this one, because that should have been a moment where Matt Booty, who is supposed to be managing this stuff, should have looked at Redfall and been like, "This isn't good. We're not making this game anymore. It's out." And instead, they push forward. It comes out. They get buried for it. They didn't have things like a 60 FPS mode ready, and a year later, they're closed. That's it. So that one was tough. Oh, hey, Ryan. Hey, Ryan's with us. You're here just in time for the Xbox stuff.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, you're here right in time. Right on time.
What's going on?
Yeah, Ryan here. I was going through the different studios that got shut down. So got Arcane Austin, Alpha Dog Studios, Tango Gameworks, Roundhouse Games. I was starting with Arcane Austin because Alpha Dog and Roundhouse, I don't know if people are as invested in those as maybe Arcane and Tango. But Arcane Austin, they had apparently pitched the idea for a new single-player sim-based kind of game similar to a Dishonored. Maybe even a follow-up to Dishonored, a new Dishonored game. And apparently, they said no and said shut it down. Any thoughts on Arcane Austin getting shut down?
I mean,
What's bad?
It just shows you that Xbox is not a properly ran company. You need the people. Beyond everything, where the fuck is Phil Spencer? That motherfucker hasn't said a goddamn word about all of this stuff. If I'm Microsoft, that's who I'm getting rid of. I'm getting rid of fucking him, Booty, Bond, all them motherfuckers. You all failed this brand. What you tried did not work. You obviously aren't leaders. You know, you could be a good boss while still being like, hey, what's going on with this project? We need to, what's going on here? Why isn't this working out? What do you need? What can I do to make it better? It just seems like a weird culture there where it's just like, and part of it is to blame that they probably did get spread a bit too thin. But at the same time, it's like, you still have to have accountability. And that's the problem with all of this shit, is none of the higher-ups are taking accountability for this. There is absolutely no reason that Redfall should have came out in the state that it did. The only reason Redfall came out in the state that it did was because Microsoft...
They got him again.
I think Sean's walking away from his Wi-Fi router.
Right when he was about to lay into him, too.
He was. They came for him. He's probably just going on right now to a microphone that's not listening. I just picture him in his living room on his couch, just like with the hands moving and stuff.
He got so angry he blacked out, just fell over.
I muted the mic when he was slamming.
Well, I will tell you this. Myself, Sean, Nate, MVG, we all beat Redfall. And as we got further, and we got about 3 hours into Redfall, I started to notice something. So when the achievements pop up, they tell you the percentage of people who also have that achievement.
After the 2% marker.
We went from 10% at the beginning, which you get like the first 10 minutes of the game. It's like, hey, congratulations, you press the start button. To, and I'm not even kidding, 0.2% just 3 hours into the game. By the time we beat the game, it was like 1/10%. It was bad. Is RGT in here twice?
Yeah.
I think you're on his computer.
We just gotta give him a sec. He'll be back.
He's going.
Okay, he'll find his land. We quickly found out that the game was just not very good, and that other people also thought the same thing. So, Arcane Austin was basically asking for, hey, give us another shot. It'll take us 5 years to make this game, and I guess Microsoft said no, and that was it.
Yeah.
So, I feel like you could convince me or explain it to me. I'd be like, okay, you know what? I get it. It's not great. I understand. The one that confuses me, I'm still searching for answers. And I was talking with Nate forever last week. We were trying to figure this thing out. Sean's back. How long did you yell at your laptop before you figured out you weren't on it anymore?
I heard you say that it was like I was walking away from my route. I'm on the couch watching the playoffs.
Okay. We go ahead. You were yelling about
Where was I?
and stuff.
Info dump us.
Oh no, they didn't fucking. There's no accountability. There's no responsibility. The only reason Redfall came out in the state that it did was because they put some arbitrary. All three of these games are coming out within 12 months. Forza wasn't ready. Starfield wasn't ready. They didn't want to strike out 3 times, so they looked at those 3 games and said, "What's the game that we can rush out there?" And it was Redfall because people were anticipating Starfield. People were anticipating Forza. Redfall did not have that same level of anticipation. So they set that studio up to fail by doing that. Like there's a whole slew of problems with Xbox, and for them to come out there and say everything's hunky dory, for Sarah Bond to do that interview and say a bunch of nothing during it, it just shows you like fire them all, get them all out of here. They're not doing their job. How many fucking years are you going to give these people to try and grow this brand? And they failed. And what they banked on, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point in time, isn't working. It's not working. It's not working. And like, it's just crazy to me, dude. It's crazy.
Well, I wanted to go to the studio that out of all of these, I was trying to figure out and make reason as to why they closed it down, and it's very tough to. Everyone I talked to cannot seem to give me a good answer as to why this happened. Tango Gameworks though getting shut down. A year ago they put out Hi-Fi Rush.
It's like the only notable good acclaimed Xbox game in a long time.
It did win awards. In fact, one of the I think it was creative director or somebody at Tango tweeted out an image of their, like, basically a shelf they have with all their trophies and stuff, all their awards, and they said this isn't enough, and it blew up online as a whole thing, taking shots. John Johannes, who was the director for Hi-Fi Rush, just tweeted out an image of Peppermint, I believe, from Hi-Fi Rush, looking just tired and like blinking at the screen after a certain quote from Matt Booty that we'll get to here in a minute. And this is one of the most confusing things I've seen from Microsoft in a long time. I think this is something they'll regret in a few years, shutting this down, Tango. And just, it seems like such a knee-jerk reaction to trying to balance the books after mom and dad got home or something. And like the heads of Microsoft are like, you got to make these numbers work. Who goes? And they're like, well, we have a studio out in Japan, I guess them. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to go that route to me, and I understand why people are frustrated and annoyed online. And some, honestly, this might be the thing that, like, they look at this and go, I'm done with Xbox. This didn't make any sense. And that was a game that I really wanted to see a sequel to, because their pitch before they got shut down was indeed Hi-Fi Rush 2. They were going to make a follow-up. What do you think about this, Ryan? Because this seemed to get more backlash than we've had for other shutdowns of games. We saw recent shutdown from Take-Two for the team behind Roller Drone. But it was okay, that's a shame. That was a cool game, but all right. This one, though, man, the internet lost it over this.
Rightfully so. Like, this is Microsoft corporate. I keep referring to it as a civil war, because as much flack as Xbox leadership is getting, I mean, I would argue they've been doing the right thing. I still don't agree with how they've gone about doing it, which is like largely acquiring a bunch of third-party publishers and third-party studios. But I mean, regardless of how they went about doing it, they still were kind of doing what people have been asking for a long time from Xbox, which is secure IP, get some exclusives, get some games out, get a release cadence going. They've got 30-something studios. I would argue they were actually set up quite nicely in recent years, especially with the closing of ABK. But this is just corporate stepping in. I mean, Satya Nadella stepping in, the CTO, the board. I mean, in a way, I don't know if this is a hot take. I feel slightly bad in that clearly they were not given enough rope. That's the most polarizing thing, because for as much flack as they're getting, like, Vaughn doesn't want to go out there and say those things. Phil obviously did not want to close down Tango Gameworks. Same with Aaron Greenberg, same with Booty. We can look at all these comments they made in the past. I genuinely feel like their hands were tied. Like, they picked up they did it. They got approval to acquire Bethesda and Activision Blizzard. Again, I don't agree with how they went about doing it, but by God, they were doing it. They were trying to address every criticism this company has gotten for over 10 years, but they just ran out of time. I mean, we saw it during the FTC regulation trial that, there were emails from 2021, 2022, where they were still like planning on doing a traditional, console model, exclusivity. They don't want to ship on PlayStation. I don't think anything that's happening right now is really, I don't think they wanted to do it. I think it's a civil war. And that Ryan McCaffrey article more or less kind of confirmed our suspicions.
Microsoft Gaming.
Yeah, in fairness, like technically they like rebranded that like 2 years ago, but the sort of ideology of what they were saying is that it's they're not calling the shots right now. The more embarrassing thing I would say is how do you approve a $70 billion merger and not sort of pencil out how that's going to work, right? It was only a few months after that they closed on the deal, and then you lay off a massive amount of staff. And just to clarify, because I know I have a PlayStation channel, Sony's not isolated to this either, right? They laid off 900 staff. They closed down a studio. Nobody's really isolated from this. Everybody's doing it. But, for them, they brought on a $70 billion merger, laid off 2,000 people, and that's not enough. Now we're closing down studios. I don't think Xbox wanted to do those things. That's not to completely clear them of blame. I'm not saying they did amazing work, but I would argue they were taking those steps and they just didn't have enough time.
I would say one thing I want to say though is I think you're probably onto something, but I think the bigger issue is that Xbox has not been doing well in those 10 years, and Xbox as a division, at some point in time, Microsoft's going to look at them and be like, it's not like with Sony. Sony, what's one of their biggest divisions, if not their biggest division? PlayStation. Whereas with Microsoft, it seems like time after time, the Xbox brand was kind of hemorrhaging them money. And I just feel like they were like, okay, you know what? It's been 10 years. And, what is this team of people that we have really done? And so, I think they did. Should they have had a little bit more rope? Yes. But in the same breath, they also should have been working on these things 5-6 years ago. It seems like every year we talk about, okay, well, where's the big Xbox games? Where are they? And the ones that we've been getting, I mean, realistically, haven't been the best. They haven't been hitting those metrics. It almost feels like there's a disconnect with leadership and the people working on the games.
I think the thing I sort of go back to because you're right? It's 10 years has gone by. There's still no sort of immediate change or like these killer titles or killer apps that sell Xbox hardware. Because building games is tough, right? But I feel like it's like if you look back at like the PlayStation 3 and 360 cycle, in one cycle you saw a lot of publishers like ship multiple releases, sequels, and franchises in one cycle, right? PS3 came out, bad console, no exclusives. By the end of it, Naughty Dog can ship 3 Uncharted and The Last of Us, on a per year like skip. And it's like, well, nowadays 10 years go by and you're lucky to get 1, maybe 2 games per studio. Like that, to me, that's like the crux of the issue is that even though they got all the studios now, it's like, are they really going to wait like 15 something years to start building that new identity for the platform?
It's interesting you say that, Ryan, because we may have a bit of a disconnect here since there was a town hall. This was reported by The Verge, and this is another one that did not go over well online. As I mentioned, it seemed like every day Microsoft's getting beaten up over something. This one though it's one. I want to stress this. It's one line that was mentioned in a town hall. I don't know what preceded this. I don't know what came after this. On its own, it was reported, and it doesn't sound good. This was from Matt Booty. The day after they shut down Tango Gameworks, who made Hi-Fi Rush, he said, "We need smaller games that give us prestige and awards." This is when addressing all the studios and.
That's definitely a comment.
Yeah, I feel like there had to have been more to this to explain it, because if he just said that and then just kind of dropped it and kept going, that's like, whoa. Well, and I think that's one of the reasons that you saw the reaction from some of the Tango Gameworks staff, whether it was the picture of the trophies and awards or John Johannes putting that image up, quoting it. It is head scratching to see something like that mentioned. And I feel like if I look up and down the chain of command here, I know, Sean, you're saying like just clean house, all of them go. I feel like Matt Booty is in over.
That's not his name. It's not his call him by his right name.
He's in over his head. He's in over his head. And I feel like either he needs the help or he just needs to be replaced by maybe multiple people, because there's too much going on. I feel like he's just never really been great at his job from the outside looking in. So
do you think Phil has been great at his job from the outside looking in?
I think Phil has the right idea and intentions. I think he's just also in over his head at this point, and he needs better people around him.
That Game Pass thing working out well?
The Game Pass thing is, I think it was a good idea at first. I think now they're seeing the repercussions of going all in on it day one.
And who is the one pushing for Game Pass so hard?
Well, here's the thing. I think Game Pass and Cloud had to be pushed, or Microsoft was going to shut down Xbox. I think it was literally just like, I'm going to pitch this and we'll figure it out later, because otherwise there is no Xbox. I think they were that close.
Leadership to me.
I think they were that close.
Game Pass was probably highly motivated by just trying to disrupt, because what they were doing wasn't working.
Right.
When you're number 3 and you've been number 3 for a while, you have to sort of try something else. And at least at the time, Microsoft's got the money to like loss lead for as long as they can. It just seems like now's the cutoff.
The thing that's so weird to me though about Tango, and it's just going to stick with people for a long time. I feel like this might be unforgivable for some people looking at Microsoft, is I feel like there's an intangible aspect to studios that does not show up in the numbers. And that, I think, Ryan, you mentioned that it's the Microsoft business, the CFOs, that side that's kind of looking at this and making cuts and then just relaying it to Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, etc. with Xbox, is the intangible side of the creativity, the ability to bring prestige to your brand, which needs it. Like to be able to make a Hi-Fi Rush out of nowhere, shadow drop it with no marketing and get kind of the praise that it did, and then also win awards. I feel like that does have an effect just on the Xbox brand as having something like that, as opposed to, oh yeah, it would have been great if it sold 10 million copies, but this is a studio that it feels way different from everything you usually do. We should build on this. We should invest in this. And it's not Call of Duty. It's not Fallout. It's not Elder Scrolls. So it has to go. And that seems like that was it. I mean, Arcane Leon is safe, as was mentioned by the director online, because for now, they're doing Blade. Like that's not getting broken up. They're on Blade. They're basically, with Disney at that point working on it, really. So they're not going around. But you're right, Sean. I think now a lot of people are being a little more cautious about some of these Microsoft studios, because if I'm Ninja Theory right now, I'm real concerned. I'm a little nervous looking at. Have you guys really seen a lot of marketing for Hellblade 2?
Yeah, they did that one tweet, remember? The release date where it said Hellblade 2.
Big logo picture, yeah.
Yeah.
It was good.
They're fucking killing it.
I would actually say, what I feel is what's terrible about Tango is that, do you think it was also just like a victim of timing, and that they just shipped a project, they didn't start anything new, right? They're kind of sitting, waiting to go into full production. They're in Japan. Despite like the success of the game, is it just like a very easy on paper? Yeah, you're done. Because you can't even like Compulsion Games or something. It's like, well, they're doing South at midnight. Like that's gonna, we hope, ship soon, right? You're not gonna cut them off right in the like ship the game and then see what happens. Yeah, which is like awful, because despite how well Hi-Fi Rush did, it's just like, well, yeah, you guys finished it, and now
Phil said that big push to Japan is coming now. Let's get rid of our one Japanese studio.
That had no hope of going anywhere if corporate's stepping in.
That's the other thing with that though, is that was your lifeline to Japan, to where they were going to hire. Apparently the word was they were going to hire. I mean, they probably had to staff up by like 20% or something to make the next game. I mean, you were going to hire people that probably worked at places like a Bandai, maybe like a Nintendo, like some of these other Japanese studios that you bring in, and just kind of add that different kind of development process and knowledge to your overall company. Even it feels so short-sighted to just cut that out. And you know what's interesting, Ryan? You mentioned how long it takes these games to come out. If you actually look at Tango's output, they averaged one game every 3 years.
Yeah,
like for release. They even did a mobile game. They made a mobile game. It's like, oh, it can do that too. So it going from Evil Within 1 to Evil Within 2 was just under 3 years.
Yeah, they had a good turnaround.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems so strange.
Better than most Microsoft studios.
That's what I mean. Tango was showing up with some.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I know Ghostwire didn't like set the world on fire in terms of excitement or hype. It probably didn't sell that well either. It was different though. It was interesting, I thought. And Evil Within 3 probably wouldn't have sold a ton of copies. The second one sold, I think, just over 1 million. But still, it's a known quantity. They know what they're doing there. It's so strange to cut that down. But I mean, they're looking for high impact titles. They needed a Fallout studio, so here we go. That's basically it. We gotta get Fallout going.
They need to make games and better fix most
But
things.
remember, good games won't sell their system.
I agree
Yeah.
with Josie.
Phil said
My hot take.
good games are not going to sell Xboxes.
It's such a weird line still to look
What a
at.
smart man.
Get
You know,
out.
though, Sean, they might sell a Game Pass, or they might sell on PlayStation, or they might sell on Switch now.
It's true.
They still need to make games to put on the other systems, though. They just stop. Like they're not nothing to.
Yeah, they got Hellblade. No.
They put
I really hope.
it's gonna sell a million copies.
I really hope Hellblade 2 does well. Oh gosh.
It's not going to do well. Everyone's going to play it on Game Pass, John. And then, but the Game Pass was supposed to be the positive metric. You know, we're getting people playing.
Right.
But the problem is, Game Pass has had single-digit growth since 2021. So you're spending money to put all these third-party games onto Game Pass, and then at some point in time, there has to be. It's going to hit a wall, and it looks like we've hit that wall. So now there's rumors about Game Pass pricing going up. Are people really going to want to pay more for Game Pass? Are they going to want to go back to buying individual games? Or are they just going to be like, you know what? I'm good on Xbox. I can play all this shit on my PC. Some of this stuff is coming to other platforms that I might already own. Like, they banked on this, and, you know, I guess it's somewhat admirable that they went full bore into it, but, like, it's just not looking good, man.
The promise, though, was that Game Pass would work to incubate and hold up studios that maybe wouldn't sell 5 to 10 million copies in a game, like Tango, and then we see the complete opposite happen now. That, I think, is why Tango really had people go, oh, wait a minute, this isn't what we thought was going to happen. What's going on here? Because how on board with that original vision of Game Pass are they now that, as Ryan mentioned, it's more Microsoft gaming as opposed to Xbox? I don't know, because if the numbers people start really coming and making all decisions, and I don't think people are going to like what else is going to happen. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if July and August we see somewhere in there after the new fiscal year starts up, see some other studios go, and it would get real ugly then. So Ninja Theory concerns me, I'll say that. Hellblade 2, I don't.
Well, wasn't it revealed
That's pretty good.
Wasn't it revealed that Activision Blizzard games were the only one that were making profit?
Yeah, so we had their fiscal report for their last quarter, and they were fortunate because they could add in Activision Blizzard, and it was a massive jump, right? It's like, oh, we did 60% more in revenue than last year. And then people went in, they took Activision Blizzard out, it's like, okay, now down 6%. It's like, oh, well, okay. So that is probably why all this is happening right now. So, great, you have Call of Duty, which interestingly enough, brings us to the next part. Apparently, there are internal discussions about if Call of Duty should go into Game Pass as a day one release.
Why
Now
wouldn't it?
that showed up right prior to Bond's interview, though, where
Yes.
yeah, I mean, so, and the thing is, I watched that interview right when it happened, before any headlines were written. And then the headlines came out, and I was like, she didn't say that, did she? And then I went back and watched it, and I'm like, I don't know. She's not outright saying everything, is she?
I went back and watched some of that stuff too, and there were a lot of clips posting up, and I'm like, this sounds like she's implying that it is going in. Because, you know, I gotta give Bloomberg some credit on this one, because they had to have called an audible for some of those questions. There's that interview happened just a day or two after all this went down, and they got some pretty good questions prepared because they got to word them in a certain way just to try to, I mean,
Make someone
more or
say
less
something,
back
not
them into a
just
corner.
spin it out,
Really.
yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Why wouldn't Call of Duty be on there? Every Xbox game is going onto Game Pass. That was even reiterated in the interview. That is an Xbox-owned studio. Why would it not be in Game Pass?
So apparently, I mean, Activision Blizzard kind of. So remember with that FTC stuff, they had like deposition and they were asked, why would you put Call of Duty in Game Pass? We're like, no, no, we want to sell the thing, and that was a whole thing there too. So apparently there were, we'll say, concerns from Activision Blizzard, that branch, as to how would this affect sales for us? Because we're now I understand because they're seeing studios get shuttered. It's like, oh, hold on, what is this going to do to us? Because you guys liked what happened with Hi-Fi Rush when you guys said it hit all your metrics, expectations, and now they're gone. So I don't think the Call of Duty studios are going anywhere, but still, that's pretty much it, Sean. It's like, how much will Game Pass affect Call of Duty on a platform where Call of Duty is popular on the Xbox? That's like the one thing they definitely have is that first-person shooter genre. And I don't know. I'm curious. Will people sign up for Game Pass to play Call of Duty, or will they just buy Call of Duty?
Well,
Don't they not want people to?
no, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, like, don't they not want people to play it on Game Pass because then they don't buy it, right?
Well, here's the thing. We're talking about Game Pass Xbox or Game Pass PC, because I'm just assuming it's going to Xbox.
Ultimate, I guess, is what I always think of, like the $18 a month one where you get both. It's like, here's PC, here's X. I mean, technically, you can just sign up for Game Pass PC for $10 a month, I believe.
Well, do you think it's going into that?
I think it's both. I think they're just dropping it in. Yeah, I think it's.
Well, then yeah, it's going to obviously affect. You know, with Xbox, like, let's be real, we haven't heard any sales numbers of any games because nothing really sells great on Xbox. But yes, I do think it would impact sales. Of course, it would. But at the same time, it's like, well, you're trying to grow Game Pass, and then you get your little, high from seeing Game Pass subscriptions go up temporarily. But are they going to stick around? Is the question.
I think if you don't put it in the Game Pass, it's over. You might as well reevaluate the whole thing.
Well, I mean, it goes against your word. It goes against
exactly.
your whole mantra with this. So it's a tough situation, but it's one that they have created.
If you do it though, you can't go back on it either.
Right.
Let's say this year. Let's say this year goes in, and that's going to be really tough pulling that back. And the margins would be higher on their platform, at least if they do sell it a la carte. I mean, which they will, obviously, but if that was like the only way to buy it on Xbox and the margins are higher, which maybe it's not going to be a huge difference in the grand scheme of things since they just don't have as many consoles out there versus PlayStation, but or the amount of copies it would sell on Steam. But I'm sure they're running through every scenario possible. But wouldn't that be the consequence of studio closures and all the layoffs? Is trying to pencil out Call of Duty on Game Pass.
That's true. Could be.
In a way, that's maybe the more frustrating thing in my eye is all of this just so we can get to a financially viable Call of Duty on Game Pass.
It might be. I mean, here's what I would do at this point, because Call of Duty has to go in. As Sean said, you completely backtrack on everything you've said building Game Pass. It has to go in. And they should know that before they bought the $70 billion company. It's like, are we going to put that in Game Pass? Yeah, okay, we will. All right, we're going to buy them. What I would do is, next month is their showcase. I would put every single Call of Duty known to man into Game Pass next month. I would do it all. I do everything. I would go back and port the N-Gage Call of Duty to Xbox even and put that in the Game Pass. I would get Call of Duty Declassified from the Vita and put it into Game Pass. I would do everything I could to make
DS
that.
What are
I
you
don't
doing
the
here?
DS games. You got to get your cell phone. You got 2 screens. I don't
Stop
care.
it.
Everything.
Yeah, that's gonna
console.
put it. That's the Band-Aid we need from Tango GameWorks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Call of Duty DS.
Needs a Call of Duty tab in Game Pass. You drop it all in there, and then
But how John, how many people are playing those games?
To be fair, remember when it went backwards compatible Modern Warfare 2 and it ended up in the MPD sales charts? People still play those games a lot. I mean, we played them when they went in there. We played what, Black Ops 1?
Yeah, how many people were playing?
I know, we were getting matches. I mean, wait, it tells us the number at the bottom, doesn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't that many though.
I haven't looked recently.
Okay, a couple
Some of
hundred
those-
at best.
Some of those player counts are broken on PS3, but I don't know about 360.
Maybe I can fire it up and check. That's what I would do. I would go all out. It's either you're in or you're out. If you're in, backwards compatible, the whole thing, they all drop in. That's a big section in your showcase next month. I mean, if you're gonna do it, you might as well like really go for it. But this Game Pass stuff is interesting. It hasn't gone. Here's the real problem. To me, that's it. You're gonna test everything because if Game Pass does not grow when you put a bunch of Call of Duty in there, can anything grow it? Because Starfield didn't.
Well, it's definitely not going to grow. They're saturated. The only way it can grow is on PC. If we're being honest, I think that's the only platform where they are still seeing reasonable growth. I don't know if that's still like whatever the most recent metric is, but they're saturated on console. Like Phil already admitted this like over a year ago, I think. Like you can only reach so many people. Unless they sell more consoles. Well, that would be the idea. That's the huge crux of the issue with Game Pass, right? Is that you put Call of Duty in Game Pass, it's not going to make a meaningful difference outside of PC Game Pass, which realistically that's probably what their line of thinking.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What's interesting is there was all this discussion around that FTC stuff, and those slides got out there with information as their projections. And by 2030, they want 110 million subscribers in Game Pass.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's absolutely nuts.
Did they not realize that subscription services overall are not doing like?
Yeah, they're constantly on the decline.
Do they look around and see how all in other forms of entertainment, because they're the only video game one really. But as far as other forms of entertainment are, how people are getting fucking tired of all these subscription services, how the prices are always going up, shit is being removed off of them, and people are just, cut the cord, and now you're fucking paying more for 10 million. Like, do they not read the room? Do they not look at anything?
I think the issue, Sean, is a lot of these companies made projections during the pandemic when everyone was inside.
Yeah,
And
Do they not have foresight? Do they not realize that that's why things were doing well for those things? Because people had nothing else to do. Like, who the fuck, like, how do you get in these? I want to make millions of dollars to make shitty ass mistakes all the time. Like, I'm a fucking moron. Like, I feel like I could do that.
Black Ops 2 has 1,411 people online in multiplayer right now.
Wow, killing it.
But that's Black Ops 2. We played the first one, right? I'll check the first one. I will check that as well. We had that Sarah Bond interview, of course, that took place. She looked incredibly uncomfortable the whole way.
Bro, she was tweaking in some of those during that
Bend to win.
fucking blinking a million times, looking to the right, looking up to the sky, hoping that God would interrupt this interview so I didn't have to answer the questions. That was wild.
Yeah, that was. It felt like she knew that it was okay. Satya and them came in and made a lot of these calls, and we just had to execute them. Like it looked like she couldn't actually say why it happened, and she gave this roundabout answer that did not actually answer anything
It
the
was
whole
word
way.
salad. It was just saying stuff to make it sound like you're saying something.
Yeah, I mean she's the president of Xbox, so she's going to be in those kind of interviews. And she's definitely PR trained. I'll give her that. She can walk around the question a million times for answering it. So
I feel a little bad. She just became president, then you throw her out there to take a lot of the heat.
She's making millions of dollars to throw a smoke screen. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna feel like that bad, but I mean, you know, like if Phil's the Microsoft CEO of gaming, okay, well, if Microsoft's leading all these decisions, you know, put him out there and let him take the brunt of it.
I feel like we see Phil out there doing that a lot, though. He's always on like some kind of apology tour online. Always. Okay,
We
so
hear your
Sean,
concerns and we are sorry. That was my favorite. That was such a good.
Black Ops 1, Sean, 90,266 players.
No, it's not. There's no way in hell.
I'm looking at it right now.
What did Ryan say? He said the numbers are screwed up. If you honestly,
On PlayStation, so
and they're also screwed up on Xbox. There's no way 90,000 people are playing
It
that.
has the map. It shows people who are left member. There's somebody right here in South Africa playing.
I can't remember exactly, but like on PlayStation 3, it's either MW3. I think MW3's number is like always 500. Then like Black Ops 2 or 3 says like 700,000, which is not even close to right. And that number never changes. I don't think they are properly updated, but I could be wrong.
Going Modern Warfare 2.
You're not wrong.
So far,
I
we
mean,
have like 92,000 people.
I'll tell you this, Sean. I checked Advanced Warfare on PS3. I couldn't actually find a game.
Tyler in the chat says it says that every day. Yetora says it's Xbox that number is wrong. Xbox player count is broken.
Yeah,
This is the equivalent of your bullshit where you had 6,000 people watching this, and I'm like, what the fuck? That's a lot of people. And then over half of them were fucking Twitter, which people weren't watching on Twitter. It just showed up in their feed as they were scrolling through.
honestly, I'd argue PlayStation 3 player counts are, you know, going to be a higher population. And you'll see the same names on multiple Call of Duties as I check in every year on that. They're not.
I trust Ryan way more than I trust John. That's
I was just reading the number that was on the screen.
Shut up.
I was just reading it. That's all. I wasn't doing anything else. I was just reading the number. No, you want me to yell at the Xbox? It's right here. You know me. I don't know. What's the top played game? I guess Modern Warfare 3 doesn't tell us numbers of people, does it? That are online playing it.
It's on PS3. It's like 500, and the number's stuck. Like it doesn't change.
Well, I mean, like the newest Call of Duty. I don't know if that's
the new
player number. Does it? No. I think MW2 does, but I don't have the disc, and I actually have that one physically. It works, but yeah. If Call of Duty doesn't move the needle, then I might be in trouble.
I think it would be a marginal at best at the start, and then it would taper off.
The slide that I think Tweetown made it out of the information came from FTC, Microsoft believing that out of that 110 million, 32 million would be from the cloud.
I'm honestly baffled that's not a bigger number from what they expect out of that insane number overall. Because that's their pie in the sky idea, is that, you know, cloud.
Yeah,
Mobile.
I don't think cloud is even going like anyone was hoping it would. It doesn't even feel like that's got any kind of traction for anyone.
Well, you said 2030, right? I mean, maybe not even worth discussing because, to be honest, a lot can change, and we're talking 6 years now. So who knows?
Sure. But I mean, if that's a projection they turned in to socket, we're at 34. Hold on a minute. Start moving or cutting.
We'll get there.
The other.
Sorry, everything's good in gaming, John. Everything's good. No ruts.
Yeah. I ran a poll.
Everything's
I
good.
got in trouble.
I ran a poll.
He
You got in trouble.
didn't get in trouble.
Sean even told me to stop being negative.
I was joking, and people took that seriously.
It's all serious, Sean.
Let me tell you a story. There's a group chat on Twitter that has.
What?
We're free. Everyone's checker. I told you it was serious. They already came for me. So they knocked me out of here.
You did that to me.
What?
We have a group chat on Twitter that has some people in it. Every day, people in that group chat send tweets from people that are on Twitter. And I would say at least half of the time, there's one person in that group chat that John is also in that can never see any of the tweets. And that person is me.
That is.
Because I'm blocked by literally everyone. Once you get on that level, John, then you can talk about getting in trouble.
Sean does annoy a lot of people on there.
Bro, motherfuckers I've never even talked to before. Like, what the hell?
Sean gets in a lot of trouble on Twitter. I will say that.
Hey.
You know what the move is for Twitter, or X, or whatever? The move
It down.
is to just read everything in a very sarcastic tone. I feel like if people did that, they'd be a lot happier with everything. It's not telling me how many people are online.
Or you just don't go on Twitter.
Yeah.
Maybe
That was still.
go on once a day to make sure I'm not missing something huge, and then I'm done.
Like Animal Well on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
I'm a charming asshole, though, Fee Emery.
I don't know if you can say that and still be considered charming.
I think so.
Why would you get Nader online?
Fuck
Interesting.
them.
Interesting.
Yet
Interesting.
not here.
Interesting. Interesting. Phil Spencer, Sean, you mentioned him. We did find out where he was.
Where
He was
Bahamas.
he was playing Fallout 76.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I knew.
And he got nuked. Somebody nuked Phil Spencer in Fallout 76, his town.
That's crazy.
He was trying to escape reality, and the people wouldn't let him live. Someone went there, like they showed online, and it's just like a crater. It's just some high level player did it. But we do have an update though on the situation. Okay, Phil Spencer is plotting his revenge.
Starting a new company?
Recently
Wow.
completed Officer on Deck. It's a quest that's required to launch a nuke.
You just
Yeah.
know this is an intern he hired to make it seem
This
like
mother-
he plays
this-
Fallout
this
76.
This motherfucker has bigger problems. She should not be playing a video game
It's
right now.
firing back.
I would just be working.
Phil plays actually a lot of video games. It's very, if you look at his profile, he's constantly playing games.
He should
It's
probably
just
be
5
working.
interns on cycle. That's all it is.
Jim Ryan never played any games. Phil Spencer's like the polar opposite. He's just always playing games.
That one company is doing all right and one isn't.
Well, we'll see. Sony's had their showcase this week-ish sometime. We'll see. I do want to ask one last thing before we go to some of the super chats here and stuff. We have another seven months or so, right? In the year. Do you guys think Phil Spencer to start 2025 will still be at Xbox?
Ideally, no.
I expect to, and this is before everything transpired, I would have thought he would probably leave by the time the next machine ships. Like, see it through, and then usually these guys try to line it up like that.
Between generations.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So, but he'll probably lead this one, and then, or maybe not. I don't know. I mean, it seems like he's done a lot of time with the company, but usually these guys,
he's been there a long time.
Yeah, these guys go after a while, and I wouldn't even say it's related directly to like, oh, he's getting kicked out or anything. Like sometimes if it's like that long, usually it's time to call it.
I kind of feel like I think you're right, Ryan, in that if he does leave anytime soon, I think it'll just be him retiring, basically. Although they could be like, maybe they're well, Phil, you should retire. But I think it'll be that kind of situation.
Sean Lane his ass scored him out of the building. Like, get the fuck out of here, motherfucker.
Sean Lane was.
You're retired. You're retired.
I feel like he was celebrating this week, Sean Lane, because he was definitely talking a lot of smack on Game Pass and what needed to be done for it to work. And I mean, it's not
called it. He called it a while ago.
He's also, the other thing about that though, right, is he also said that games need to get cheaper and they got to get them out faster. And I feel like the industry hasn't gotten to that point yet to where they got to reset everything. So he's so far right about Game Pass for the most part from what we're seeing right now. I feel like the other part of it though is like a serious correction to the gaming industry to where one of the platform holders falls, or one of the major publishers like an EA or something would fall, a Ubisoft. That'd be pretty massive for the industry if something like that happened. But
Needs an enema.
I mean, John, that's kind of, I mean, that's happened. Like it's we are like in the very middle of it. We have a platform holder that's on its last legs, and we've seen what 20,000 layoffs.
yeah.
So the correction's here. Although
I think
there's
that's
a
the
lot left. There's a
last
lot
thing
left.
that knocks that final piece out of the Jenga tower. It's like it still has to happen for it to really hit. So
AI.
I think AI is. I think
Still
that's
got-
going to be a big conversation over the next like 2 or 3 years.
Still got a few years for that to really make its impact in a way that's probably going to affect human work.
They're gonna fire people, then it's gonna get legally regulated, and then no one's gonna be able to do anything.
Did you guys talk about the Andrew Wilson story already?
We can talk about it right now, real quick.
Yeah.
Mentioning AI being utilized within EA, and apparently how developers are desperate to start using it. Like they have a hunger for AI, and he didn't necessarily explain what they would use it for, other than I assume speeding up development.
Well, I think he gave examples, didn't he? That they used it to accelerate the amount of I think stadiums they could do, or the animation of people in the stadiums, and then run
He did talk about
cycles.
animations, you're right.
Yeah, and how they were able to get that work down from like 6-8 months down to like a few weeks, and it's only going to progress further. And so,
I do feel like we're going to see a lot about AI, especially soon as new projects are started. I do think we're going to see. Basically, what's going to happen is there are going to be games that come out that people won't realize AI was used for, and there have been a lot of people taking very hard stances against AI, and like
They're gonna look fucking dumb.
you're going to play games that I'll tell people now. You're going to play games that are going to utilize AI quite a bit, and it's going to be in probably game companies you don't even expect to use it. I mean, honestly, I would be shocked if, like, in 6-7 years, GDC happens, Nintendo shows up, and it's like, hey, we used AI for this part of Zelda. It's like, oh, really? So I don't know if a studio will attempt to have AI just create an entire game on its own.
That'd be horrendous.
I think everybody's in agreement that that's just not going to happen. Though.
But
It's a tool you babysit right now.
I will say this, though, Ryan, if somebody attempted it, that on its own would be enough to market the game and be interesting to people to follow. So, like, hold on, AI is going to make this thing. We'll see how that turns out. So it might get some eyeballs that way, but I don't think it's there yet. No, but could it be? Well, if we get to a point where there's just this general intelligence that is created and developed to where AI can think for itself, then I think you got a problem. So. That
Hope it kills us all.
Skynet. It's all over.
Good.
Ultron.
Bring it on.
Sean's excited.
I'm excited. Bring it on, dude. I don't give a fuck.
Let me see. Oh, Ryan and I are still trying to figure out the name for the PlayStation podcast.
Don't worry, John. I have some names.
And now we have to do it. Now we have to do it. We've been called out.
I have some names. I'll shoot them to you after.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, good.
I feel good about them.
Okay. We've been put on under the spotlight now, so now we have to do it.
Can't be lying to the people.
Shout out to Sacred Symbols for randomly talking about our podcast. Doesn't even have a name yet. So we'll get there. We'll figure it out. But yes, Ryan and I are doing a PlayStation podcast here in the coming weeks, and I think it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Super chat.
PlayStation showcase coming up. I got it, Sean. I got it. Let's see. This is from.
No, there you go.
There we go. No. All right. Claw says, I think it was easy to cover up Spencer's mismanagement when Xbox was small enough for Microsoft to pay for them. After ABK, Microsoft isn't having any of that now, and the scrutiny is showing how bad his management was. He needs to go. Yeah, ABK, $70 billion. That's going to get the upper management looking at him. Dark Dream says, RGT thinks he's exclusive in criticizing Game Freak. I know a few PokeTubers that have shown concerns for Scarlet Violet launch. So I guess get more realistic, dude.
First
Think
off,
you're original. Come on, RGT.
first off, motherfucker, you paid $10 to John to say that, so you need to reevaluate your life. Second off, it shouldn't be a few. It should be literally every one of them instead of coddling their audience and showing minor concerns, but then still sucking the dick of the game because they know that that's what people watch them for, so they have to put on a front. Like, get fucking real, dude. Come on.
Wheezy says, hope you guys are having a great night. Been listening to the show for a long time, and you guys have helped me through many shifts at work. Thank you. I've heard we've accompanied many people with work, so shout out to having us on the background. This is from Michael, who says, getting rid of Phil and the current staff will return you to the Don era. It's clear the order came from above Phil to reduce costs. Don Matrick era. I legitimately feel bad for people who missed the 360 era, by the way. Man.
The late 360 era. Early was good.
Yeah. I mean, the early part when they introduced Xbox Live Arcade was cool, but I get what you're saying, like that second half where we were just getting some awesome titles.
I mean, you don't know what you're missing. That's the thing. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
See, I feel bad for Toasty, man.
But you don't need to feel, because I have no idea. Yeah.
Now I feel worse. Man.
It's okay. I was rocking with my Wii/Wii U at the time, so we're good.
None of us will know what it was like when penicillin was invented. Man, crazy.
Goddamn
Chief,
shame.
Chief says, with Arcane Austin closing, will IP like Dishonored and Prey go over to Arcane Leon, or will it be dead and buried? Would have loved Dishonored Prey. Oh yeah, I think Dishonored can still live on with Leon, but they're very busy with Blade.
Just go ahead and throw the fucking dirt on top of it. Let's be real.
Gosh. Matthew says, with the closures of Tango, will Hi-Fi Rush ever come to Nintendo's console? Also, what about the physical release from Limited Run Games? Much love to developers, and I hope they find work soon. The physical copy is still happening. Limited Run mentioned it. Doesn't mean it's not coming out for another 2 years, potentially, even if they shipped it today, but still, it's coming. Hi-Fi Rush, though, to Nintendo, I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of...
Wasn't it rated recently?
Yeah, I kind of
There's
feel like...
a shirt. There's a shirt and everything.
Yeah, that's true in the game files. So.
I wouldn't be shocked if it showed up in a future direct randomly, just because they just be porting it, really, and they still own the IP. So.
Maybe in June.
There you go.
That'd be fucking ironic. Yeah, we should shut these motherfuckers down, but hey, we're bringing the game to the Switch.
If the game goes to the Switch and sells like 2 or 3 million copies, something crazy.
Maybe Nintendo buys them. That's what we do.
Bring in Tango, we got him. Mighty Ryan says Microsoft could have saved a ton cutting 343. They have id Software and COD Studios that can run circles around them. 343 got technically reformed. Like a lot of the upper management there did go, so they did make some cuts. Calenshaw says Tango made a standout game in a year full of big releases. Xbox praised them. Yen USD exchange rate should make it cheaper to keep them open. So sad.
Not wrong.
Yo, Peep says, is the industry not growing or is Xbox not growing? Well,
Xbox is not capturing a bigger slice of the finite pie. That's the answer.
That's the answer.
Perfect Image says, I'm still confused why Xbox buy COD everyone.
Hey,
Money.
I'm right there with you, Perfect Image. Right there with you. No, they want the money. COD still sells very, very well. Blake says, I was tripping on NyQuil and started thinking the Wii motion controls were so revolutionary and fun. Do you ever miss them or think they'll come back?
bro, NyQuil is fucking awesome.
The pointer controls with the IR sensor, those are for like shooters and stuff, like RE4. Yeah, that's still the way to play it. Yeah, I'd like to see a return of light gun games. People figure it out. That'd be nice. Shasali says Xbox creates new tier and put COD on it. It's on Game Pass. Yeah, they might raise prices. That would go over well. Blake says, I can't see Nintendo just doing a Switch 2. There has to be a new gimmick to it. They can't help themselves. What is a new feature you'd like to see? There's rumors there's a microphone on it. So
the gimmick should be that
It's just a regular console.
No,
That's a real Nintendo gimmick.
There is no gimmick. That's the gimmick. Because they always do a gimmick. You're like, hey, you know what? No gimmick this time is the gimmick. And everyone's like, whoa.
Surprise, it's normal.
Fine chess, yeah. This is from David who says all Xbox had to do for the last 10 years release 2 solid games yearly. The FTC was right about the merger. Gamers are not the customers Microsoft cares about. It is the stockholders and share price. Well, yeah, that's true.
That's becoming a bigger issue for all companies, where there seems to be a bit of a disconnect where they're thinking what they're doing will attract more shareholders by not necessarily paying attention to what the audience wants. And
Right.
I mean, it's all across the entertainment industry right now. You look at, all these movies bombing for this, that, and the other reason. It's because they're trying to appease these shareholders and get more shareholders in, and they're losing a bit of a connection, I feel.
Dave says MW2 Remaster Online would save Game Pass.
Okay, stop it.
Charlie says CMA approved ABK merger because COD won't be in Xbox Game Pass. I think they were concerned that it would only go in Xbox Game Pass and that no one else would have it offered. And I feel like Microsoft did a thing where they'll offer it to PlayStation for some stupid number, and they'll be like, no, we'll just take 30% of all of your sales.
Well, CMA approved it for streaming rights, which are now sold off to Ubisoft. So
Yep, they spun it off. So Josh Hall says, honestly, it might be over if they put COD in. Sure, you see a bump on PC, but console is still limited to Xbox users. You wind up back at this question next year.
Not wrong.
They should sell Xbox systems.
But good games won't sell Xbox systems, remember?
True, we
Bill
do need to
Spencer.
back more Redfalls.
Bill Spencer said that. Literally, those were his words.
I guess the plan now is to start the next generation at the end of 2026. That's the strategy.
That sounds like a winning move there.
Time to make the move. Spartan says, I thought Game Pass was about day one games, but they closed down most of ZeniMax Studios. Game Pass might as well rebrand the games of the past.
They should hire you. You're smarter than most of the people there right now.
That was actually a good one, Spartan.
It was good.
You go around here as I go through some of the last ones. I'm going to start with Josie. Josie, where can everyone find you?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. You can find me on YouTube at Josie Woe. I make Nintendo content stuff. I put out a video this week. It's a banger. Put out a video every week. So if you like Nintendo, I talk about it. You can also find me and Sean and Nate, the Hate, and Celia on the Game & Talk podcast. And you should check that out because we put out bangers every week there as well.
You should watch Battle of the Sexes so you can see women fail against the men.
RGT took it upon himself to be just miserable after he won.
No, I was just keeping it real.
Okay.
You got another one coming up too?
We do.
Yeah.
Any hints as to what game you're playing?
Yeah, Mario Tennis.
Oh, you guys giving it away. I heard Sean was getting mad that whole time.
Today is freaking out. I told it truly.
Good.
Yeah, I was punching stuff and throwing stuff. I was genuinely angry.
Brandon says, John, way late started working night shift. Did you ever finish Cold Steel series? I did not. I put that series on hold and I've not gone back, and they've released like 3 new entries since. So I'm like even further behind. I've actually stepped backwards since I started it technically. Claw says, MVG said Xbox execs need to stop being so public and making false expectations. He's not wrong. I would agree. There are a lot of statements that are very contradictory to everything they've been doing recently. So, yeah.
Hopefully there's more luncheons. Although they've lost most of their diehards now. They've all been switching sides. They're all going to PlayStation. Ovo, Tim Dog. I haven't checked Tanichi. I'm sure she switched sides as well. So it's not looking good.
Sean, where can everyone find you?
You can find me at youtube.com/DreamCastGuy. I always felt like doing a short one there. He made a lot of videos about Xbox this week.
Very passionate.
He made one about PlayStation today as well, though. I don't know if I'm making a video tomorrow. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm going to eat some food at my uncle's
For Mother's Day.
Yeah, my mom's in town.
There you go. Okay, makes sense. Follow up here. Keep nuking Phil Spencer says fire all those clowns, all caps.
It's a crazy photo. That close.
Don't forget Streamlabs, John.
Oh yeah, I'll check those too. I gotta get. Justice says, I think the Sony Paramount deal, if it goes through, Sony keeps the movie studio and IPs, but they have to sell it to TV and broadcasting stations. Yeah, they're gonna break it up somewhat for it to work, especially with regulators. Hellman says, historically, Microsoft sucks at anything not biz focused. Zach Wolf became a YouTube member. Shout out Wolf.
What did you call him?
Isaac.
Isaac. I think it's Isaac.
Isaac. Okay. Usually I see that with 2 A's and a C for Isaac. That's what I was.
Oh, now you're telling a YouTube member that he spells his name wrong? Come on.
No, I'm saying why it's called that way. Like, you know, when you see a word and you're like, look at it, you're like, I think it's this way. Isaac. We'll go with Isaac Wolf.
This guy up here dropping the AA Ron.
Seriously.
Ramsey says, barely made it. We'll have to watch the full live tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone. Shut up, Ryan, where can everyone find you?
Find me at Mystic Ryan on YouTube, covering the world of PlayStation every week. We are on PlayStation Showcase Watch, so when it does get announced, we'll try and get a quick discussion up about some predictions, expectations, things like that. And then if that doesn't happen this coming week, then something else on Tuesday.
Yeah, if as soon as you see that PlayStation Showcase announcement happen, just go check out Ryan's channel and start hitting the refresh. If it's at 5 a.m., doesn't matter. Ryan's there for it. He's ready. He's ready to go.
Yeah, if they publish it early, I'll probably see it.
Keep an eye out for Ryan's channel when that announcement goes. Yeah, I think he has some ideas ready to roll for what could be there. So let me go over to Evan as well. I'll bring up Streamlabs now too. Sean's joining me.
You can find me at Kimmerix Project for tabletop games and anything hobby related, strategy related, stuff like that. We're almost to 6,000 subscribers, a little bit away. Hopefully I can get this video I've been trying to get out this coming week. Trying to get it out this last week, but shit came up. Always sucks.
Over on Streamlabs, Liam says with the subtitle of NES Edition for World Championship, do you think that implies other versions later on, like an NES or a Super Nintendo Edition or a Game Boy Edition? Sean actually had a good point for this one.
No, because NES Remix was called NES Remix, and everyone thought the same thing, and they never did it.
But they could.
I mean, there's a chance, but just basing it off of history, I think that chance is kind of small.
It'd be
I
really
think
cool.
That was on the Wii U. That's the only thing that does trip me up a little. Little hesitation.
3DS?
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
That was
Like
ported later, and it did worse.
3DS.
But like the Switch is, there's so many people there that I was wondering if I was like, we could try a Super Nintendo, but maybe not.
It'd be cool.
I mean, they're doing NES Remix at the end of the system's life cycle. Obviously, or a world champion, I should say. So obviously it wasn't like a huge priority.
Final 98 Fantasy says, just wanted to say that I love watching the show every week. I have been watching since day one, and I've loved getting to know all of your channels that are a part of this podcast. You're all awesome and appreciate you all. Thank you. Final 98 Fantasy. It's very nice. Adam says, do you believe with the closure of Tango and the fallout with Platinum scaled down is the final straw for Xbox actually trying in Japan? Phil keeps saying that Japan is important to Xbox, yet what happened here proves otherwise. I think they're done with Japan. In the sense that they want to have a studio. I think they'll partner with different studios that already exist. They could go back to Platinum at that point. But like what they're doing with Metaphor right now, that's kind of where I think they're gonna, how far they'll push it, to be honest.
Yeah, and Phil's also not the smartest with his words, as we've seen. So, you know.
That is true. That is true. Oh, and then Darkland asked Sean, what's your favorite survival horror game?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I gotta go with that one. That's a tough one. You got something you could say for like 10 seconds while I think?
I really like.
What I'm going to do is add everyone's. You want to check everyone's links down below in the description for their channels. I'm adding Sean's in right now to make sure I have everyone down there.
Do you want to throw a game and talk at the bottom there?
Yeah.
I will.
I'll say original Resident Evil. Like of all time, I would say original Resident Evil. Shout outs to Resident Evil Revelations. Shout outs to Outlast and Outlast 2. Shout outs. I like Siren. I remember the Siren that they did on PS3 that was like the episodic stuff.
Episodic was cool, but the whole PS2 thing where you would change between your perspective and the monster's perspective was mind blowing at the time. It was great.
I really like the obscure games, Obscure and Obscure 2. I think they're
Oh yeah.
obscure survival horror games, no pun intended. Shit like that. Fear's a hood classic.
Fear was good because they had the big state gun. They were cruising wall.
Yeah, you crucify people in the multiplayer, dude. Those
The multiplayer was so good.
so good. So good. Condemned is good. I really like Condemned 2's multiplayer as well. There was some really fun game modes in there. Yeah, those are just a couple off the top of my head. Deep Fear on Saturn's dope. If you like old school Resident Evil with a hold your breath mechanic.
Shout out to Song of Horror, a game I've suggested several times that no one here's played.
I think I had.
I'm not a horror person.
Did it ever come out on consoles? No.
I think it did.
Oh, it did.
Yeah. It's really good.
Okay. I think I got everyone.
$40.
Well, I think that's everything there. Got everyone. Yes. Okay. I got the links down below for everybody. Check them out. One of the people here. And I think that's our show for tonight. Shout out to Fransby. Signalis became my favorite survival.
Top-down pixel art, pretty good.
Shut up.
Pixel 3D.
Does Minecraft count?
No.
Okay. End this show now.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back next Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye out, though. Like I said, we got some stuff I think this week happening, and Ryan and I will hopefully be able to reveal the name of the PlayStation podcast by then. We'll see. We'll see. We're trying to make sure we got it all set up, but we will see you guys next weekend.
Over 750,000 citizens put issue 1 on the ballot.
Together, we'll end gerrymandering by drawing fair maps.
Through an accountable, citizen-led process.
Vote yes on issue 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Squadcast episode 366. We got the music, we got the intro card there. Cuts all right on time. It's a good start to the night. Everything is moving. It's rolling. Let's make sure, though. I'm going to go around here and make sure no one's muted. We're going to start with Ryan. Ryan, how are you doing?
Doing well. How you doing?
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, cool. We were trying to figure out if people were muting or what was happening. I thought we were going to catch somebody. It's good to have Ryan back, though. He's off of his ridiculously difficult video to make because he was playing PlayStation 3 online this year, just a few weeks ago. So it is good to have you back, Ryan. How'd that go anyway?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Checked out a lot of lobbies, a lot of games. Always one of those things where you got to cut a lot of footage, but for the most part, I think I got a solid collection of, what's going on with the PlayStation 3 community.
Was there any game that shocked you that people were still playing?
No, not really. There's always like a niche for everything, I guess.
No, I figure it'd be something I assume Skate 3 is an obvious one. People still play that a lot because it's not backwards compatible obviously on the newer PlayStation. But Call of Duty, I don't know. Was there one you went on and it was real easy to find a game?
Well, you know what? Actually, and this didn't make it in the final video. I checked Advanced Warfare.
Oh,
because that was one called. Yeah, I didn't check that Call of Duty yet, and that one's on PS3. It's the second to last Call of Duty on the system, and I couldn't get into a game. I'm this is kind of a recent Call of Duty. Nobody's playing this. I thought, wait, is this the one people don't like? So I don't know. It took a while. I finally got into a match, and it seemed like there were only maybe 20, 30 people playing on a Saturday night. That was surprising.
I remember being okay with it. You said Advanced Warfare?
It was Advanced. The one where, it's you can jump and stuff.
It's not Infinite. Infinite was the one that everyone got really annoyed about. Advanced, I remember I was okay with. I don't think it was very memorable, but I didn't hate it or anything. But I mean, I feel like you get Call of Duty on the PlayStation 3, you're probably going for like Black Ops 2 right away.
Well, Black Ops 2 is like plagued with cheaters. I didn't even bother looking at it this year.
I bet. Yeah, I can absolutely see that one.
I just skipped it.
Imagine cheating in a game like that where there's like 30 people online playing.
Yeah, I don't know what you're gonna get out of that,
But your video's up, checking it out, so people need to go check out Ryan's video for the PlayStation 3 online stuff. Really cool to see. One of the last systems left that has free online at this point. So.
still operational. Store's still going, online still going, servers are coming back. PlayStation 3 supremacy, baby.
I haven't looked at that store in a long time. Are you doing a video to check that store out before it's like gone?
I did that like a year and a half ago. But what's so funny about that is that if you go on the store now, there's still like remnants of the back end of what Sony does on PS4 and 5 now. So certain store pages, if it's a PS4 game that gets, I guess that existed on data has changed. So if you go to like something like Journey, now the Journey page says, play this game on your PlayStation 5, ensure that you're on the latest system software. And I'm like, well, I'm on PlayStation 3, so clearly that overwritten the metadata for the store page.
I know that like the 360 storefront shutting down soon. I thought about going back like the last week that it's open just to get like a snapshot in a video of it, like just page through it and stuff, just to see, because when it's gone, it's gone. And I think it's kind of neat to have at least a video of some kind that it gives you a look at the store before it's completely wiped. So I might look at that, but that made me think about like the PS3 as well. So I assume you would be doing that probably right before it goes down.
Probably. Yeah. Just checking it one last time.
When I whooped MVG's ass in the server, which you guys can all watch right now live on the channel. Yeah, that, and then we played a couple retro games and stuff like that, but I've been busy, so.
Secured a copy of 1,000 Door with that, huh?
Yes, I did. Free copy of 1,000. I'm very excited about
You
it.
be buying all your games.
I know. I think we got to do it every single month so I can make sure I'm covered. I don't know. We got to play like Mario Kart 64 or something. That was the idea.
Oh,
Mario Kart 64.
That should be one that he should do very well at. We'll see.
We will see. I'm kind of insane at the SNES one, so I don't know if the translation is there, but
people don't. I think the one that people dislike the most out of it is probably the Game Boy Advance Mario Kart.
Yes, I don't understand that. I kind of like that one. I used to play with my calculator in high school.
Your calculator, interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay, we played TI-83 Plus. We played games where you would trade drugs back and forth. That's very different when you're playing Mario Kart. But yeah.
Yeah.
What about?
Sorry, I just want to shout out RGT's talking about it right now. We did Battle of the Sexes in Game and Talk. Celia and I played against Nate and RGT. That'll be up on Wednesday. This is fun video. A lot of sex.
Really shouting out for me. My gosh.
I'll be honest.
He did say he was working out and watching playoff basketball. And
RGT.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's trolling me, but hey, if he's working out, go for it, Sean. Good for you. Go do that. Let's go over here to OJ. Holding up the pre-show.
Yeah. Good pre-show. Feeling pretty good. Shout outs to everybody. Shout out to the people that were in my DMs telling me about all sorts of stuff. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. Getting angry about trophies and all that. Appreciate all you guys.
They're still after you, man.
Yeah, but I know that they're a bunch of weirdos and racists anyway, so it's a bunch of racist stuff. So, I mean, that's just kind of how these people are, and just making up stuff about like my wife and things, just kind of weirdo nonsense. But it's all good, man. I'm still here. Brian's here. Hey, Brian, I made a joke about trophies the other day, about people with trophies. They said so I'm going to go and say, I made a joke, okay, about trophies, about people who collect trophies all day and how they have no girlfriends and they're all this and that. It was a joke. I should have said maidenless. So people they're all maidenless. They never get with that girl. So I'm going after the platinum trophy in Stellar Blade, so I will divorce my wife very soon. So I mean,
okay.
I made a joke, OJ, that you would after all of that, you would just randomly get the platinum trophy in Stellar Blade by accident, just have an epiphany. Like,
you know what it is? They're just jealous of your multiple amazing, beautiful houses. I would be too. I mean, this place looks nice. I don't know. When did you buy this one?
I mean, we out here.
It's been around, yeah.
We out here, like
Property management, I feel you.
It happens, I've been working on a few things here and there.
I like it.
But no, seriously, I love the sponsors, man. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being awesome. Seriously, I love it. The messages were great.
Hey, interactions are action. They're thinking about you.
So, well, I mean, one guy was like, "Hey, he was definitely said he's gonna fight me. He's gonna catch me slacking at too many games, So yeah.
People like that come to too many games. That's really crazy.
No,
No,
no, he's not coming. He said he's gonna be in Scott the Waz's line. He's like, I'm gonna go watch a real YouTube. I'm like, bitch, I do not care who you watch. You're a complete weirdo, dude.
No, Josie, the people you meet at too many games are nice.
Yes.
You just they're everyone's cool. So we don't worry about that.
Everyone, they don't go there. I mean, there was a few people that I knew for a fact didn't like me, and they beelined it straight to somebody else on the line. But when I went last time, but for the most part, everybody was, which is cool,
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a good time. But good to have everyone here tonight. We do have actually some interesting stuff to go over, which does include the Helldivers 2 discourse that has gone next level. Apparently, the Valve Steam is getting involved with this whole thing, so we'll go over some of that. We do have the Xbox Summer Games Showcase, which was detailed a bit further, and they left some mystery with apparently a redacted game. Who knows what that is? Nintendo filed there was a rating that was posted for Nintendo World Championships. We had a Starfield update, Square Enix in trouble, and I did want to bring up the console sales because it does seem like some things are maybe slowing down a bit in the U.S. When it comes to that. I do want to give a shout out, though, of course, to the Patreon Spawncast Network. I was talking with Ryan, and I had mentioned this previously, but Ryan and I are going to be starting up a podcast here in a bit where we are going to be covering PlayStation. We're still coming up with the name. The name is the thing that's always the hardest part about these, and that's what we're working through right now, okay? The topics, all that stuff, conversation, that should be easy for us because we already research a lot of the news anyway, so it should be pretty easy to the current event stuff. But that's the sticking point right now, where Ryan is figuring out the name.
Do you have any ideas so far?
I don't want it to be fully on me. I just want to bounce back ideas before we settle on something.
For delicious margaritas, choose a tequila made from fresh roasted agave. Hernitas, a fresh take.
Yeah, the naming thing is always that's the hard part, is figuring it out. We've kicked around some ideas, and I will say some viewers have actually turned in some pretty good ideas as well. So hey, if anyone's got any ideas, let us know in the chat or something. We're trying to come up
Somebody
with
said PlayStation Prime. I think that's really good.
PlayStation Prime. No. we're trying to come up with ideas around it. So it's that's always been the hardest part for me, is coming up with that title, that name, that brand. So we'll get there. But yeah, that is the plan. People have asked for weeks, months about some sort of PlayStation dedicated podcast to go along with the other two, and Ryan and I we're working on it. The plan is in motion. So we hear you. We hear you guys. We're gonna make it happen. I see some of the Sony Pony podcast. Yeah,
That'd be great. You guys should
That'll
just
work.
embrace it.
Jeez. Well, we'll see. We'll keep it out of the
PS
chat there.
Bros.
PS Bros.
That's what someone said.
Hey, there's always a chance. We'll see. I thought somebody recommended PlayStation Pulse, and I was like, okay, that's closer. That's getting closer to kind of the idea, but it's I want to think it through really well before we land on something. So Ryan and I were brainstorming. We're figuring it out. Also, I think Sony's going to have something towards the end of May anyway, so that'll be a nice, launching point there to kind of go over what their second half of their generation's will look like then. So we'll see. Also, I did want to give a shout out again to the members over on the Spawncast Patreon, of course, starting with some of the producers and executive producers. John O did mention we don't have too many games, so we'll be able to catch up with them there. Joshua Butts, Mr. Joby, Justin Maverick, The Game Orb, and Trent A. Shout out to the supporters over there. We appreciate it. And then I guess make sure you check out Game and Talk, because they have Battle of the Sexes coming up. So it should be a lot of fun. I asked on Twitter some topics people wanted us to go over, and of course I went through Discord to pick out some of the questions there. But you know what? As I was going through Twitter, I just looked at the topics and I was like, okay, this is one that was asked a ton. This one, and I basically just lumped it together with the initial one. But I gotta say, there's some stuff happening on Twitter that has caught the internet by storm over the past couple of weeks or past week or so. Not necessarily gaming related, but everyone still brought it up. And that was from I have G, who put this in on Twitter, who just asked Kendrick or Drake.
I mean, it's looking like Kendrick right now.
Okay, good.
It's pretty one-sided.
I was worried because I thought people were going to stare off into space and be like, what are you talking about? I was like, okay, good. But it's kind of hard to miss right now because even though I'm not into like the music scene and stuff, I still understand the idea of the diss track, and it is it's looking kind of ugly right now. There's some stuff where I'm like, that sounds like things you should go to the police with.
It's getting pretty nasty, to be honest. It's getting pretty bad. I think it'd be good if things just stopped right here, but I doubt it will.
I don't think so.
You think they get together and just come up with this stuff and realize it's going to make them a bunch of money because of the exposure? So
The two of them
figure
come
this stuff out
together
Not those two. Maybe if it was like the baby or somebody like that, yeah. But not those two. Too much ego, especially from Drake's side. Drake is a douchebag, and he's egotistical, it's like super crazy. So I mean, he would never allow this type of thing, you know. And he already has tons of money anyway. So
I asked Sean about this thing going into this. I saw people question like, Sean about this, and he doesn't seem to like Drake very much either. So I mean, he said it a lot. He said it more in a Sean way.
A lot of people don't like Drake. I mean, but Drake, I mean, that it's just the stuff that Drake does is like super suspect, man. Like I said, I don't want to go over all of it, but there's a lot of things that Drake is just very suspect. You know,
okay.
What he does, like how he treats other women.
Yeah, he's pretty not ideal.
Yeah, he's pretty not like how he interacts with certain, younger girls in the industry and things. So I'll just leave it right there.
Does this have like a lot of like the fanboy stuff attached, like fanboyism kind of attached to it too, where there's like two sides and they're also like clashing?
Well, I feel like I've even seen like a lot of people who are big Drake people, and they're like, yeah, no, Kendrick is winning.
Drake people know that Drake is sus. Like they all know he is very sus. He's just popular and he can sing. I mean, he can sing and he can rap and he's talented. But they all know he's super sus. That's the thing about it. They know. And then you got the weirdos and idiots like Sexy Red and Ice Spice fans that defend him like crazy. And because they're all sus and stupid. They don't know good rap if they hit him over the head. So like their opinions don't count. But
I'm a little confused because it seems like Kendrick has dropped track after track after track. Like he hasn't given them time.
He just had him waiting. Just ready to
what's
go.
happening? He just dropped one an hour before this podcast. Like everyone was waiting for Drake to do something. He drops another one, and that one looked really bad. They had the thumbnail was a picture of the guy's house with all the sex offender marks on it. That seems like a problem.
There's some truth to that, right?
I love John's just like not hip hop sort of white guy approach. This sounds bad news, guys. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I think we should contact I think we should get law enforcement.
Proper authorities for this?
Where's the constable?
Are you sure they're not talking to each other about this and coming up with?
There's no way.
I don't know. All right. I feel like that's what people said about professional wrestlers back in the day too.
Yeah, because you're involving his wife and their kids. Like it's.
Yeah, hip hop gets pretty personal. It cuts deep. These guys, it'll be pretty obvious when they don't like each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's all over Twitter. So, is it done now or
do we go home or?
I don't know what happens. Usually it would spill out into like some craziness in the real world, but it just seems to still be on Twitter.
It's still going. Kendrick's got a show on the 16th of June in Toronto. And then
He's got one in the chamber. He's got one in the chamber.
Wow. Seems like something you'd hype up with some diss tracks back and forth to make a bunch of money.
They just come out on stage together.
Wow.
That would cute.
that would ruin hip hop. That would literally that would be the end of hip hop as we know it. Even though
I made that joke a long time ago when my friends were really into this stuff in high school. I was just gonna. I was like, what if they got together and just went back? But no, I can't do that.
Was that during the whole like
Here
West
we are
Coast
again.
East Coast thing? Is when you said that?
What's that?
Like you said that during the whole West Coast East Coast thing?
Something was happening. I'm like, this seems like what I would do if I wanted to make a bunch of money, and I felt like I could do it through conflict like that. I would just
even back then,
make up beef and just have people fight back and forth, and
back then, people got like shot. Like
Yeah.
it was like,
That was not good.
yeah, like if you're talking like 50 Cent, like stuff like between that and Ja Rule, people got like beat up, shot, killed. So it's like, ew. I don't know if this is trying to.
I'm not saying you can't get out of control either way. I'm not saying you can't. But there are probably plenty of instances where they're like, hey, this is definitely making some money if we just kind of worked it out behind the scenes. They look like a little drama thing. But, well, there you go. He's got a show coming up. So I'm sure that's completely free and he's not hyping it up for anyone.
I don't know. You gotta buy tickets.
Well, yeah. There you go. Hey, it's MVG. Okay, maybe not. There's MVG.
Just in time to get this back on the rails.
Hey, people asking. MVG's really into music. He knows.
It depends on the music we're talking about.
I managed to talk for like 8 minutes with everyone at MVG about Kendrick and Drake. You should be proud of me.
Yeah, I didn't even know what's going on there. Like, it's not real.
Okay, it's not just me. See?
I mean, if it was between like Metallica and like Slayer, maybe I'd understand what's happening better.
How committed I am. Before this show went live, I watched 12 minutes of Drake versus Kendrick Lamar, the 100% full story explained.
Wow.
There you go.
Sounds like a bit.
No, it's a channel called What's the Dirt. I figured they would have the dirt.
They had.
Let me. All right, is that enough to talk? Is everyone in the chat satisfied? We good? Yeah. Sorry. Cool. You're welcome. Let's. Let me. Hey, I told you. I hear the people. I see it.
Yeah, you're a man of the people, John.
There you go. Okay. Let me go over since MVG is with us. MVG, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We have MVG back as well. So I was going to immediately go into Stellar Blade MVG because I saw you've played it. Ryan was busy playing PlayStation 3. He hasn't had a chance to get to it. So he'll get to it soon, though, I think, because you played through the demo, Ryan, so I assume you're probably moving on to that next, I assume. And then OJ, of course, has been playing it. So he's going to try to platinum it. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. And Josie only got to play Mario Kart against MVG this week. So we'll come back to you on... I don't know, what is the next thing you're going to play, Josie?
I'm gonna play Endless Ocean. I tried to go get it, and my GameStop was like, "We don't have copies. Nobody gave us them." And I was like, "Oh, that's a win."
Oh man, really?
Yeah, they didn't get shipped any stock. So.
And Nintendo didn't even contact me for the review copy. So.
Well, did you watch gameplay for that, Josie?
No. I'm just gonna go in blind. I know that it's. I know it's like nothing. You scan fish and you swim around with bad swimming mechanics, but I'm gonna
I looked up some gameplay for it, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't even think I'm gonna pick this up."
The 30-player online sounds cool though.
Isn't it just basically Pokemon Snap underwater?
Yeah, but like worse, because like you just scan them and like nothing, like there's no pictures or anything to take.
There's no game,
Yeah.
There's no like actual real game to it. It's just kind of like doing nothing.
Just kind of vibe.
You're just vibing.
Yeah. I don't know. I want to try it.
Yeah, I'll buy it because like I think Nintendo's gonna make like 5 copies of it. So
I don't think there's that many physically. You're right.
Yeah.
So
I'll definitely cop it.
Well, let's see. Stellar Blade. How much do you play, MVG?
Well, I don't really know where I am as compared to the entire game, but I will say that I'm in that part in the IDOS factory after the city, so I'm kind of in there at the moment doing stuff in there. So I beat. I can't remember the name of the boss, but I don't want to spoil it, so I shouldn't say anything. But it's one of those bosses where you can only use your range weapon.
Yep.
to take the
I got
enemies.
you. Yep, I know exactly where you are. Kind of
So
turned into a little bit of headspace there for a bit.
Yeah, so I just finished that part, so I'm kind of on the next bit of that. So I don't know how far into the game I am. I think I'm about like 5 or 6 hours in at the moment. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think I'm coming up on the 18-hour mark. I'm coming up on the 20-hour mark right now, total. And OJ, I think you've been rolling through this game pretty well.
Yeah, I'm like almost 30 hours, but I've been doing like every side quest. I've like leveled up a bit more than usual and been exploring like everything in the game. Because I really like it a lot. So
I've actually,
side quests,
you know me, John. I'm not big on side quests in some games, but I've actually been enjoying the ones in this one. I've actually been doing them. So I've done a lot of the ones in the Wasteland, and I did the that board, that Roxanne has with the different quests that you get. I've been rolling through those as well, so I like it. I like the game. It's good.
Yeah, the quests are so you do a quest, and when you finish it, technically out in the field, it asks if you want to teleport back to turn it in. So that has made it a bit easier to just approach them, and they mark them all on your map. So for the most part, it's pretty easy to just go there, complete whatever it is. The ones that I'm not a huge fan of, and it's really annoying, and one of them I just looked up because I don't feel like doing this. It's like the math ones where they just throw these random symbols at. Figure this out. It's like.
I will tell you, I just Googled the answer. I ain't got time for that shit to figure out what the answer is.
There was
like
one where I looked
the ones
up
like with the numbers.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I just Googled it too.
I looked at the solution. They're like, you square the first number, and then you square root the second number. I'm like, what? Why? What is this?
Dude, I deal with numbers at work every single day. I don't want to fuck around and try to figure out, in my spare time what the answer is. I'll just Google it.
I love the energy.
Dude, if you play, when you get to that point, I feel like you're good. I think a lot of people just looked it up. It's like, all right, just figure this out, okay?
Do you even do one attempt, or immediately you're like, go?
I'll look at it, Ryan, and I'm like, if I can't figure this out in about 15 seconds, I'm just gonna search for the answer.
15. Okay, so that's right away.
Yeah,
I tried to do it for I think I did it for about 10 minutes or so, and I'm just like, dude, this is stupid. And I just looked it up.
Well, all of those lines, it gives you a pattern of numbers, and in between, the one that I was annoyed with, I don't know, you just put the pound symbol between them. I'm like, figure out why this equals this. And I'm like, what? So, and I look it up, and it's like doing, you have to square certain numbers, and other ones you subtract from, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Oh, no. I'm done. No way.
I should have taken a screenshot and just put it up here, and been like, figure this out. You have 2 minutes to do it. And I feel like no one here would figure it out.
I don't mind math problems in games, but the way that they did it was stupid. The way that they made it too obtuse, But you luckily could just look it up and you'd be done with it,
I really like the game, but I will say that, people keep saying that it's like a PS2 game that runs on the PS5. I think there's actually a lot to be said that I agree with in that aspect. Some of the game mechanics are very kind of PS2 era, and it's not a bad thing. I'm not knocking it in any way, but there are a couple of quests where it's like, find these key cards, to unlock this security terminal and stuff like that, right? So some of the kind of the running around you got to do is a little bit mundane, I feel like, but what really makes up for the game is the combat. Every time you get into a combat, it just feels really good. It makes everything awesome. But the other thing I will say is I've already had a couple of recycled bosses. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. Kind of wish they didn't do that. I'm not a big fan of recycled bosses in games. I get it, especially if they're side quests where you got to face a boss at the end to beat the quest, whatever. But I wish I would have a bit bigger variety of bosses in the game, at least with the amount I've played so far. And it may kind of open up a little bit more. You guys may have a different take on that. But.
No, I'm at a part that's near the end of the game, and I'm fighting against a recycled boss right now.
This is the number puzzle. This is what they show you. They go, solve this.
Yeah, dude, I got no time for that, Brian. I'm just Googling
If I saw that, I don't know what I would do. I wonder if it was
I thought the game was messing with me. I was like, what?
Yeah, is that for real?
You're in college.
I'm a liberal arts major, you know.
Oh man.
So I haven't taken a math class since senior year of high school.
I honestly just, I'm like, have I been like school that long? Am I
No.
Straight up putting Stellar Blade spoilers right on screen. Despicable.
I told you. Sometimes you just gotta I'm just googling this. I got time for this.
Do you think that's taking away from the experience, though?
No. Taking away from the experience would be me spending 30 minutes trying to figure out what the answer is. That would take away from my experience.
That's true.
I'd argue it's a pacing problem. To throw this stuff in between really satisfying combat just seems so polarizing.
It's like a side quest though, so you don't have to do it. It's just there. But I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this because it's extra money, and I think I actually got items too. But I just looked at what is this? This is strange. They have a lot of different hacking mini games too that threw me off because at one point it's just follow this in order.
Yeah.
And then they threw it at me, and it's you're getting all of these wrong. How? It's because eventually they give you a grid of arrows, and then start jumping around random spots. You just have to look at it okay.
It's like a 4x4 grid of D-pad presses, and basically you got to press them in the order that they show you sequentially, line by line type of thing. And then eventually, as you progress into the game, they just open up random ones on the grid, and you have to kind of follow along with it. And that messed with me as well, John. When the first time I did, I was like, what's going on here? What's happening? And then I realized that they're spreading it open, a little more so.
But the combat I like, the abilities you're getting are fun and interesting, and the combat opens up constantly as I go through the game. So they keep throwing new abilities at you, and a little rage mode I got and stuff. So there's a lot happening in the game, and I do feel like I'm legitimately getting more and more powerful as I go. And they have, of course, they have 70 outfits or something in the game. I think I've switched my outfit twice. I'll be real. I don't know. I haven't really thought
Do you feel like it's restricting your ability to enjoy the game by not being able to see more of the woman's tits?
I took the game out of the PS5 and threw it away this time.
Just do it. Just going for it.
This is a game I think the gameplay can overcome that, Jersey. I will say that. I think the game is very enjoyable.
Just barely though. I was very angry. I was very, very angry. I made a video. I signed a petition. How dare you?
Change.org.
I only got 75,000 now.
The game's very fun though. I'm enjoying it. I will tell you this: I've completely zoned out on the story. Something's happening.
Keep saying that, and I have that. I actually like the story. I don't think it's the greatest story ever, but I'm interested in what the war beforehand and some of the stuff that's in there. What happened to the humans, the original humans and things like that. So I actually think it's a pretty cool story.
I get that part's
all
interesting.
that stuff. Yeah,
the origin to it, yeah. But I mean, the core idea of what they pushed immediately, and the people played the demo obviously know that there's some big bad that you're chasing most of the way, and that's been fun. But I get what you're saying about the setting, OJ. Maybe it's me because I haven't felt the need to go through a lot of those data logs and things you're finding. I'm hoping the game explains more to me as I go, but still plenty of game in front of me, still stuff to do. So we'll see. Maybe it'll grab me towards the end.
How many hours is this game supposed to be?
I've seen people clock almost 40 hours on their first playthrough.
Wow. Okay.
So I don't know how much side content they did, but I have seen that number come up a lot. 38 to 42 hours, somewhere in there. And there's the Game Plus, of course. So.
That's the other thing about the side quests. And again, bear with me because I'm way kind of earlier in the game than you guys, but every time you do a side quest, it's go find this person, and every time you find them, they're dead.
They are dead a lot.
They are. NPCs are actually living in this game. Everyone's dead.
There's a few that are alive. Go find my brother. You're right. You just find him dead, in the field somewhere. And it's well, brother died. Thanks for the money. That's it. You just leave. So it's pretty straightforward about it. But yeah, it's enjoyable. Really playing it. So just wanted to give an update where we were with Stellar Blade. And I guess we'll, depending on how much longer it takes us to get through it, I guess we'll organize some sort of video. We talk about do the Final Fantasy VII. So
we can talk about it. I like it.
Whoever's completed at that time, feel free to jump in. OJ, whoever, we can have a little 20, 30-minute video about it. So I think it'd be fun. Let's I do want to bring this up. These are some Discord questions that we had. As I said, I wanted to go through more of those as well from the community. SSJ Pika said, considering Warner Bros. Recent focus on live service games rather than single-player titles, does this increase the possibility of a Gotham City Imposters revival? I thought everyone forgot about that game.
Wasn't that like the multiplayer mode in like one of the Batman games?
I really liked that game, and I feel like no one remembers that game. It was sort of, it wasn't really a hero shooter. It was like a class shooter, but it was very unique where you were just a regular person in essentially like a group that either dressed up as Batman or you dressed up as like Joker minions, and you would battle it out in the streets. But you had like a grappling hook. You had some weird and just junk gadgets to fight each other with, and it was a very unique and fun game. And it got shut down, but technically on the Xbox 360, you can still download a demo and play like the early demo part. I did it in a video, and it was interesting to go back and just see it. You're not playing against anyone else. I wouldn't mind that. I thought it was at least a unique idea, and I think that's something that multiplayer in general needs more than ever. Because we have.
Don't you think they might be scared about doing it because of the new Justice League thing or Suicide Squad game?
Yeah, I have wondered if that's put them off of some of these ideas. You're right.
Yeah. They got bashed hard.
Well, yeah, but I think people looked at that as Rocksteady is good at the single player stuff, so hopefully they do another, and then it ended up turning into a live service thing. I wonder if they just announce this as it's multiplayer. It'd probably be free to play. I think Imposters like $15 or something. This would be free to play. Everyone's gonna throw it out there, and it's a team that generally does multiplayer anyway. Maybe people would be more receptive to it. But you're right, the Suicide Squad thing, I'd be concerned dumping a ton of money into some of this multiplayer stuff with Batman right now if I'm Warner Bros. But they want their live service stuff. So, I don't know. It was an interesting moment in time. It was there in that 360 Xbox Live arcade where we just had a lot of unique ideas getting thrown around. It was time I don't really have as much anymore, but it was the good days. Sort of.
It was the good days.
Yeah. Let me go over to Helldivers 2. What a 48 hours. What a past 48 hours for Sony, Arrowhead, and apparently Steam. Because we had the announcement, it was Friday's yesterday. Of course, they want to push this out right at the end of the week, that they were going to be instating the requirement for login to the PlayStation Network if you want to play on Steam, and this did not go well. At this time, they have nearly 100,000 negative reviews that have dropped on Steam on this game. It has happened in the last 2 days, and it has pushed their overall review down to mostly negative. And apparently now, Steam is even refunding games, even if you've played more than someone played for 200 hours. There's a screenshot of them getting a refund for this thing. And the theory right now as to why Valve is doing this is because PlayStation Network is not available in all regions, so maybe it's somebody who is legitimately in a different region that is not supported, and, well, they're not going to play the game, so they should get a refund for that. So this definitely blew up more than I was expecting, and I'm sure many others. So I guess the question really becomes, is this an overreaction, and will Sony turn around and maybe backtrack a bit on the absolute requirement to sign in the PlayStation Network?
They're not backing down.
No.
It's done.
Okay,
It's
so
done deal.
here's the interesting. So you know what? I'm sure you've been following this as well, Ryan. But I think just today, some Discord messages got out there from, like, Arrowhead has their community managers and stuff running around for this. Obviously, that deal with a lot. But Arrowhead is having, they say, internal discussions with Sony around this, and apparently, Arrowhead developers are not happy with this either. Like, they seem to be kind of frustrated, according to them, the community managers. So I mean, obviously this is from Sony because it's around PlayStation Network, trying to get more people on board with it. Maybe it does make it easier behind the scenes to, as they say, ban people or regulate or manage all this stuff. But I kind of think you guys are right that I I don't think Sony's going to turn around and say, no, we're not doing this now, because this was their plan from the start. Like, they were trying to get people on this right away.
I mean, it was always there. They just really shot themselves in the foot with not doing it day one. And also, they had no idea how big this game was going to be. I mean, honestly, that's kind of why this got as big as it did, right? Because it's such a popular game. You know, if it kind of comes out and has a smaller audience, you're not going to see the same kind of reaction. People will still be upset about it. Nobody wants to have to log into all these separate publisher sites because it is a pain. But, you know, the game got way too big, 2 months in, not a requirement. Now it's a requirement. Sony's got a history of, like, you know, not handling data breaches very well. Like, it's just all a very bad luck.
I will say, when that login screen comes up, like, let's say you're playing on a console even, because console's probably the one where it's most annoying because you have to leave the console and go to the computer. Maybe it's not as big of a computer since it'll just open a separate window. When that login screen comes up, I will say there have been a few times where I've been like how bad do I want to play this game right now? Like there is all of a sudden some doubt creeping. It's like, and there is a certain game, I don't know if I should name it, that I've tried to get people on the Spawncast to play, and that screen came up, and that was it. It was over. That was the end of it. That was it.
What game was it?
A certain Final Fantasy.
14?
Yeah. I saw that login screen come up, and I already knew. Like, no one's going to play this now.
Well, John, this game sucks that I'm about to talk about for me, but like Redfall, it popped up like, hey, log in this. I was like, no, I'm good. This game's not good enough for me. Yeah, I'm good. The game already is not very good, and then on top of that, you're making me do this, you know. So yeah, I don't like the login stuff either, but I don't know, man. I guess if the game is good enough, then you'll do it. You'll just take care of it. It'll take however many minutes, and then you'll, you know, move on to and play your game, I guess. But I understand why some people are angry at it, though. Like, I get it.
I do feel for Arrowhead because they are definitely taking all the heat for this, because, you know, obviously they're the ones that have to make the statement. But, you know, make no mistake, this is obviously something Sony has requested to get done. So Sony doesn't care, man. They'll just sit back, wait for the dust to settle, and then they'll just proceed. They're not going to back down on this. I don't feel like they would do that.
No, I mean, on the PS5 obviously is unaffected since people already have PlayStation Network there. And Matt Piscatella did share that in terms of like the Circana report, that the PlayStation 5 version or the PC version on Steam, if you split them up, either one would still top the sales charts for all of the entire year to date for sales. So both of them on their own have done really well. And maybe Sony's like, well, the PS5 is, I mean, sure, if we lose a bunch of users on PC, we still have the PS5 holding things up perfectly fine. But I feel like that. So this doesn't go into place until the 6th. So this week coming up for new accounts. Current ones, you still have 30 days before it starts requiring that login. I think even that's going to be in waves. That'll be in June, which is probably when we would see an actual fall off for numbers if it was going to happen. Because I do think there are going to be many people who are like, I still really want to play Helldivers 2. Fine, I'll just log in.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like there's going to be a little bit of up and down, but eventually it'll just sort itself out one way or the other. And you know, again, it's not something that I feel like they're going to walk back.
There's no way. I mean, the companies. This is part of their PC rollout. It's like every other publisher does it. They're finally going to start shipping more PC games, especially live service ones. Even setting aside Helldivers 2, like the next game's going to have it. The next game's they're going to do what everyone else does. I will say, I feel like it's one of those low-hanging fruit things with the whole, you know, oh, what about the countries that aren't supported thing? Like, yeah, they do have to address that, but there's a lot of people upset just because they just don't want to make the account. Like, let's be honest. It is a free account. You don't have to give them any info either. It's it's free. You do that with everything. If you just punch in one of your burner emails, don't put in a fake name, just get it done and over with. It's a pain. Nobody likes it, but there's absolutely no way they're somehow going to walk this back.
I really think the core issue people should have with this isn't even necessarily having to make the account. What it should be is the idea that a game that you bought and then then months later can be altered in this way, even though it was obviously it's there at the start because you can look like Internet Archive and stuff. Like the thing was there that's like, hey, it requires PSN. But we've been through this a bunch of times with live service games where you can own a game after buying it, and then it can just be altered to either completely inconvenience you, or in some cases make it so you just can't play the game if you're not in a certain region. We'll say, like you mentioned, right? That there's not as many people obviously that are in those regions, but still, there's somebody out there who's probably like, I don't know, in, as they said, like many parts of Africa, for example, just not able to technically make an account. Then we'll just say that. But the idea that that can come in and kind of just change the entire complexity of a game for you and even deny access is a little concerning just to bring up for the whole digital only, the live service push that we're seeing right now. It does make you wonder about purchases you make now versus what happens to them in the future. So it's that's the only thing I really look at this and say, yeah, okay, I definitely understand that perspective. But you're right, it is a free account. I mean, people are gonna if Sony doesn't fold or back down a bit on this, I feel like eventually you'll see people just go, well, all my friends are playing, I want to play too. But who knows? Maybe they hit them with enough refunds and Sony goes, nah, it's optional now. But I think you're right that this is their strategy. They want people on PSN, on PC.
Well, they just want the MAUs.
Yeah.
Whatever sort of data they can collect.
I feel like Helldivers 2 has a ridiculous amount to get to. Yeah.
It's just like, they just really shot themselves in the foot by not requiring it like immediately and just sort of ripped that Band-Aid off. And it just looks even worse when it's like, well, the game was working just fine, right? So, I mean,
well, at the beginning it was. It does now, right?
True. Yes. Yeah. To that credit, it was not working fine day one, but now it's stable.
And I left it on, and I was like, I'll be back in like an hour. And I came back, and like you're like, it just started working 5 minutes ago or something. Yeah. So it was kind of ridiculous then, but that's the only thing. It's like now they put a barrier up, but now you got to put your information in months later. So you're right. If they had a day one and you knew what you were getting into when you were giving them money, then it's like, okay, well, you gave them the money, you know you have to sign up, so they have to sign up. But
is it going to offer like trophies and stuff on PC at least? Is it going to pop trophies?
It should. That's the other thing. Yeah. I would assume the game's going to get the overlay just like Tsushima Director's Cut is getting. And in that case, it's just going to be a shared trophy list. So it would be, technically that would be cross progression. And since it's live service, that means it would very much be like your player data would still be there. Because like Tsushima, they've not confirmed this, but there's no cross progression for single player. But if you log into Legends, that's server side. So I imagine that should all carry over. But it's a shared trophy list across the two.
Gonna need that cross buy soon.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Sony's willing to do that quickly, but yeah.
Hey, get that launcher ready, Sony. People are gonna be real excited to install that based on their reaction to this account sign up. Hey, if I get cross buy, I would actually use that launcher because I have a bunch of games digitally as well that I would just immediately load up there and use.
Cross buy would be incredible, but I doubt they'll do it. But that would be super cool.
You know what would also be cool, but they're not going to do this, is they're going to, what they should do is link up your PlayStation Portal to your PC PlayStation library.
That'd be okay. So I like that. I like that idea. So you can stream right through your PC. That might be a bit more outfitted for some of these games.
Look at
I like that.
If I bought Helldivers 2 on PC and it has a PlayStation launcher, I should be able to use my Portal to launch the game and play it remotely.
I like that idea.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, that's. I feel like that would have caught me out of left field a bit if you didn't mention it now, MJ. Like if they made that announcement, okay, I'll keep an eye out. But that's a good idea. That and then of course PR2 compatibility like that.
You don't think they would do that, MBG? That makes a lot of sense because that would encourage accessory sales for a non-PlayStation customer.
I would hope they do it.
Yeah,
I want them to do it.
I hadn't thought about that, but that would make a lot of sense.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so the Helldivers, we're going to say this week coming up because obviously Sony wouldn't even make an announcement until Monday anyway because they're off for the weekend. But we'll see. People are trying to get refunds. People keep trying to put them in, and they're getting denied, and then denied again, and then approved for some reason. So we'll see if that happens. Do you think I do wonder if this is going to be a common occurrence going forward. As like Concord, I assume you're going to be doing the PSN sign up. Fair games, probably the same thing.
That's what I mean. It's not like they're not going to do this for the other games.
I wonder if there's now going to be pushback then too, even if it's at launch.
Nah, I don't know. If anything, Helldivers 2 might be the band-aid rip that is needed.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's the.
Because then everyone will have the account.
Yep.
Oh, good point.
But MVG makes a great point, which is the relationship. Because Sony and Arrowhead were working together for quite a while on Helldivers 1 and then this game. You would think that was a very healthy symbiotic relationship, but now this is, I can imagine it's like, I feel bad for Arrowhead. This is definitely something where they're catching so much heat, and it's like Sony owns the IP, like Arrowhead's not going anywhere. Like, this is a PlayStation Studios game. So it sucks that that's kind of, they're at odds there.
It kind of looks like, just from the outside, because they did it right before the weekend, it kind of looks like they got left out to dry a bit on that one. They're just like, no one's going to make a decision for the next 3 days, so here we are. Go ahead and be honest.
Yeah,
you see the CEO post on Twitter about it?
No, what did he say?
I can pull it up, but it was it sounded like he couldn't do anything. It's like, well, I'm going to hope we're going to try to make a good game for you.
Yeah.
It was kind of tough. Let me see. I had it pulled up. Here we go. Okay, here it is. This is from the CEO on Twitter, who said, Alex, write the review score. They took a screenshot of the review scores going down on Steam, and then said, well, I guess it's warranted. Sorry, everyone, for how this all transpired. I hope we will make it up and regain the trust by providing a continued great game experience. I just want to make great games.
That's all you got to do. They don't have Arrowhead has nothing to worry about. If you just stick to the plan, keep making awesome content, keep updating the game, you'll be fine.
There you go. Okay. Well, we'll see how things transpire this week coming up. Let me go to. Okay, this is a good question. I think, Ryan, you had answered this at one point. Drew Man, this was over on Discord, saying, what do we think is the reason Sony hasn't fully embraced the PC demographic yet? They seem to have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'm sure they've developed a PC launcher already. PSVR 2 would be an instant success if they cost us an official PC driver for it. Why are they resisting it?
They're not. It's just, like I said this last week or last Friday on my show, I'm like, I think the only thing keeping them back now is just logistics. Like, they're actively doing everything right now. Like, the floodgates are open. The only reason why it's not like PC launch or PC day and date single player, and because they have to do it now. They have to logistically figure that out. So they brought in Nexus. Last time I checked on the PSVR 2 situation, the encryption thing, I vaguely remember this on the back end. It's the way that the single PSVR 2 wire carries a certain amount of power. So you need a certain display port for that to actually work natively. But people that like to tinker on the back end already see that. So I think it's AMD and NVIDIA graphics cards can now recognize PSVR 2 as a VR display rather than when it's stuck in cinema mode. Because if you connected it before, it would just read as cinema mode. So they've already the last PSVR 2 firmware already they're laying the groundwork. So that's in progress. As far as PS studios go, these are historically console devs. They just don't have a PC pipeline just yet, but they're getting there. So, and then the overlay as well. It's just going to take time is all, really.
Okay. We're just trying to figure out, with PSVR specifically, I'm just trying to figure out if they're going to use it for any game you want, like on Steam, or if they do have a launcher that it specifically has to be used with. That's the only thing I'm curious about.
That we don't know, but it sounds like it's not going to be a really bad streaming solution. It sounds like they're going for a direct connection. But the way that it's, at least my understanding is, no matter what, you would actually need an adapter, just because of how much power is carried through that single USB-C cable. So for most desktops, I believe you're going to need some kind of adapter.
Like a cable that would plug into that, and then maybe that's plug into another power source or another USB even.
I forget. I forget the name. There's like certain graphics cards that have the port where it would work, but they don't make it anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that's the only thing. If they announce it, they're like, oh yeah, now you need this extra little cable or something. You just gotta order it.
It sounds like they're going to do direct connection.